Hi, everyone, and welcome to Baseball Night in America. I'm Al Michaels, and those of us at ABC are delighted to be back in the business of broadcasting baseball for the first time since the 1989 World Series. And it's a brand new concept. We'll have 6 regular season games on ABC, including tonight and again on Monday night. Then we'll bring you the division playoffs in October, part of baseball's new expanded playoff format, and the World Series in late October. Baseball Night in America, a regionalized concept. You'll see a game in your region that's important to those of you in those particular areas. It also gives us the capability of updating games as never before. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the premiere of Baseball Night in America as we take you out to the ball games. And for those of you in the East and the Great Pacific Northwest, we'll keep it right here, the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. Crowd still filing in, more than 30,000 expected for the Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. Third game in a 4-game series. Well, we have survived the quake of '89 and a 4.5-year absence from baseball. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver, great to be back. Al, great to see you again.
Same here, Al. It is great to be back. And for the New York Yankees, it's got to be great to be back, too. And after all, they haven't been in postseason play since 1981. A great chance to do that this year. They've been in first place 68 straight days. How have they done it? A potent offense, good pitching, acceptable defense. Big thing, I think, as far as Buck Showalter's concerned, maneuverable players. He's great at doing that. The only shortcoming, their bullpen, but that's the case with a lot of ball clubs.
They're in first by a half game over the Baltimore Orioles, who play the Angels tonight. The Yankees might be first, Jim. Seattle might be last, but Seattle has the best drawing card in baseball right now, no question about it.
They certainly do. Ken Griffey Jr. And if I was a Surgeon General of the United States and not a former Major League pitcher and now a broadcaster, I classify this guy as harmful to your health. He can hit for average. He's hitting .334. He's leading the major leagues in home runs with 35. But the key, and probably the most important thing, he's a good kid. His parents, and you know his dad, Ken Griffey Sr., was a great, and they've done a great job.
All-star matchup tonight on the mound. Jimmy Key starts for the Yankees. He started the All-Star game. Randy Johnson for Seattle. The game in a moment. But right now, here's John Saunders.
And welcome to our Baseball Night in America studios. I'm John Saunders. Welcome for the first time, but not for the last time. We will be here throughout the night to bring you up to date on every game being played in Major League Baseball. Some pretty interesting races already, including this one. Ken Griffey Jr. last night had 2 home runs against the New York Yankees. The Yankees won the game. They still lead the East, and tonight they'll send 13-game winner Jimmy Key against the Mariners. The Indians and the White Sox. Kenny Lofton had 2 steals last night as the Indians beat the White Sox in Game 2 of that series. They are tied for first in the American League Central. In the National League, in the East, it's all tied up between Atlanta and Montreal. Atlanta hosts Florida. San Francisco's at Montreal. In the Central, Cincinnati has the lead over Houston. Cincinnati hosting Chicago, Houston, and Pittsburgh. And in the West, the Dodgers on top. They are at Philadelphia tonight. We will keep you up to date on all of the games tonight. We'll get to the games right after this.
And ABC News Break. Now from Washington, Catherine Cryer.
Good evening. The White House is sending the nation's top aid official to Zaire to assess the need for additional assistance for the massive exodus of Rwandan refugees. Mountain-sized chunks of a comet have started to hit Jupiter. NASA won't have pictures until later tonight, but this is what scientists think it will look like. Tomorrow on This Week with David Brinkley, how the nation's governors are coping with problems that Washington can't or won't solve.
In the mood for savings? Right now at your Mazda dealer, you'll find savings on the spot. Look for the spot on a 626, and you'll find a surprisingly affordable lease on an exceptionally well-equipped sedan with the best basic warranty in its class. So don't wait. Pop on down to your Mazda dealer where the savings are on the spot. Get an exceptionally affordable lease on a Mazda 626LX now.
Those boys from Continental Airlines have gone completely off. First, they come around here inquiring about my peanuts, claim they're going to fly people for peanuts. Now they say I can bring the missus with me for just a penny.
Purchase a Continental Peanuts fare round trip, and for a penny more each way, you can bring along a friend. It's called Add a Penny, Add a Pal.
Flying for a penny? Those boys have been spending too much time up in that thin air.
Add a Penny, Add a Pal. Only on Continental.
Dear car owners, if you had a brake problem tomorrow, could you think of one brake specialist to go to? Where can you go for same-day brake service? A guarantee on brake shoes and pads for as long as you own your car. And the expertise of doing over 2 million brake jobs a year? Midas. Think of us as the brake specialists. We're pretty good at mufflers, too.
Now's the time to get a new Oldsmobile 88 Royale.
I can't afford something that special.
Now you can with the Good Olds Guy's new Demand Better Smart Lease.
Yeah, how much are you demanding?
Just $269 a month.
$269? I demand to know more.
It's been a Consumer's Digest Best Buy 4 years in a row, and it comes with dual airbags, anti-lock brakes, cruise control, AM/FM cassette, and power everything.
Any other demands?
We suggest you come in soon because $269 a month won't last long.
My wish is your demand.
For the best leases, see your Good Olds Guy now.
We're talking baseball with Tommy Lasorda, Monday on Live.
The Kingdome in Seattle, an early start tonight. It's a gorgeous day outside. And Randy Johnson, the ace of the staff, with 10 wins and 4 losses, appeared in relief in the All-Star game in Pittsburgh on Tuesday. Johnson, with 150 strikeouts in 134 innings, leads the majors in strikeouts. And here's tonight's Yankees lineup presented by Anheuser-Busch. Bernie Williams leads off in center. Randy Velarde at short. Don Mattingly is the only left-handed batter in the lineup. Jim Leyrich is the DH. Danny Tartabull in right. Mike Stanley catches. Pat Kelly at second. Gerald Williams in left. And Dave Silvestri at third. And where are Boggs, Polonia, O'Neill, and Noakes? Well, they're all left-handed batters, and against Randy Johnson, they're all on the bench.
As they should be.
Bernie Williams hitting .260, but against left-handers this season, Bernie up and over .350. So another reason for Williams to hit in the #1 spot in the order. And the first pitch from Johnson misses, the count 1-0. Normally, were a right-hander on the mound for Seattle, you'd see Polonia in the lineup, and Luis would lead off, and Bernie would bat probably 6th. Johnson misses away, and the count 2 balls and no strike. Wade Boggs is on the bench. Boggs having a fine year, but against Randy Johnson, he sits.
With the 4th highest average in the history of the game, and when you can have a left-hander of that caliber sitting, then you know what kind of pitcher Randy Johnson is.
It's a good night to come up with a headache. I mean, Paul O'Neill, who's hitting over 380s, I mean, he went up to Buck Showalter, the manager, and said basically, hey, it's all right if you don't play me against this guy. I want to play against mortal left-handers, but not this guy.
There are a lot of words that describe Randy Johnson. The one that left-handers use is terrifying.
At 6'10", the tallest pitcher in the history of baseball, and it's low, ball 3-1.
Well, hitters tell you the difficulty becomes, first of all, it's an arm angle you don't see because of that 6'10". He's not a control artist, even though his control's got a lot better. You can't look in one area, and again, the velocity close to 100 miles per hour.
Williams fouls it away in the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
That's when you can look in one area when you get ahead of Randy Johnson. I think you talk to a lot of the Yankee hitters. There is that unusual style. He's not an over-the-top type of pitcher. But when you talk to the Yankee hitters, almost all of them say take early in the count, try to get ball 1, ball 2, and hit from the hole, from the pitcher's hole.
Williams leading off, then Velarde and Mattingly. Yankees have won the first 2 games in the series, in each instance coming from behind. And it's ball 4. So Johnson walks the leadoff hitter, and Randy Velarde comes up as we take a look at a Seattle defensive unit that was tops in the American League last year, but a whole other story this season.
Centering around second base. They are strong up the distant middle with Ken Griffey Jr. 4 Gold Gloves, but 18-year-old Alex Rodriguez. Ken Griffey Jr. coming up when he was 18. Rodriguez will be 19 years old on July 27th.
Randy Velarde takes a pitch low on the count, 1 ball and no strikes on the Yankee shortstop.
Well, this is one of the few Yankee hitters with good lifetime stats against Randy Johnson. 12 for 20.
In there, and the count 1-1. Velarde hit a home run in the first game of the series. He's seeing everyday duty right now because Mike Gallego is still on the disabled list, but about ready to come off for the Yankees. And once Gallego comes off, he'll go back to short, and they can move Velarde around. Funny the way a guy like Velarde would hit Johnson so well. We saw Woody Woodward last night, the general manager of the Mariners, and every time I see Woody, I keep thinking about the fact that Woody was about a 240, 245 lifetime hitter, but used to destroy Tom Seaver. Owned him. One and two.
I mean, you look at the numbers with Randy Johnson in his last 5 starts. You'll see all kinds of strikeouts, 12, 11, 12, 12, and 9. And you think, well, here's a guy that throws 97, 98 miles per hour, but the toughest pitch to really hit is the slider, and he throws a lot of them. 30 to 40% of the pitches tonight will be breaking balls. He's got a changeup, throws it maybe twice a night.
That's what he throws to first when he tries to pick someone off.
Exactly.
7 pickoffs this year, 16 last year. An excellent move to first base.
There goes Williams. Velarde strikes out, and Wilson's throw is not in time. Bernie Williams got a good jump and steals his 12th base of the season. He's been caught 6 times. So Velarde has gone on strikes, and with 1 out and Williams at second, Don Mattingly will step in, the only left-handed batter in the lineup.
Well, when you are 6'10", you have a high leg kick, and when you have a high leg kick, what happens? It takes a little bit longer to get to home plate, and the Yankees took advantage of that.
And from a catcher's standpoint, the count's 3-2. You have to stay back. You can't come out like you normally would do, and Bernie Williams swipes his 12th base of the year.
Williams at second and 1 out. Top of the first with no score. Don Mattingly, who came off the disabled list with tendonitis of the wrist, takes a strike. Don missed a few games before the All-Star break. Then they put him on the DL retroactively, rested him, and he's been in the lineup the last 3 nights.
Now Don telling us before the game last night that he was already thinking about Randy Johnson tonight, about staying in there. If you move that right shoulder, you're dead against this guy. You have to really get a checkup from the neck up against Randy Johnson if you're a left-handed batter.
Well, you talked about the 16 pickups, but how about leading the major leagues in 16 hit batters? So, I mean, you know, you throw hard.
Right.
You got a hard breaking ball, which is effective to left-handers. And you don't know where the ball is going. Or at least the hitter doesn't think that.
Well, if there's a defining moment to this point anyway, as the third base umpire Brian Onora says no, a defining moment in Randy Johnson's career to this point, it's the at-bat in the All-Star game by John Kruk
last
2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Johnson driving Williams back to second. Bernie at second base with 1 out in the first inning. The Yankees on top in the East by a half game. They've been there, as Tim mentioned, for almost 10 weeks. But the Orioles have won the first 2 games of their series to stay within a half, and the Orioles are in Anaheim again tonight. There's a half swing strike, and the count is 1-2.
That's what Don was telling us last night that he did not want to do. Look at the front shoulder. Once you leave, you're dead.
And also, Tim, you know what a pitcher tries to do is throw that fastball and then throw the breaking ball, the slider that looks exactly like it. So again, we're talking pitch identification, and Mattingly couldn't pick that one up.
The 1-2 to Mattingly. He reaches and grounds it just fair inside first by Mike Flowers. Williams will score, and Mattingly stays in to pull a double down the line and right and give the Yankees a 1-0 lead in the first inning. His 42nd run batted in.
Now, we just talked about a good breaking ball, and that's what he swung through. But then you come back as a pitcher with another one, and it better be in a good spot to a good hitter. If it isn't, Mattingly makes the adjustment. He hangs in there, doesn't hit it well, but hits it down the right field line and scores the first run.
His swing actually looks similar to the swing on the 1-1 pitch. However, the breaking ball was in a different spot. A real hanger right there.
Now Jim Leyritz, who fouled one off his ankle the other night and missed last night's game, takes a strike. He is well enough to hit. He's the DH tonight, but still not 100%, and thus he can't catch
He, Mike Stanley, and Matt Noakes share the job back of the plate for the Yankees. In the air to right center field, and Buhner and Griffey converge. It's Buhner making the catch as Mattingly tags at second, and Buhner's throw is cut off by Rodriguez. It was a bit offline, so Leyritz flies to right deep enough to get Mattingly to third. 2 out, Mattingly at third. The Yankees leading 1-0, and Danny Tartabull comes up.
And in my opinion, a very heads-up play. I mean, Mattingly, the only thing he can't do is run. But I tell you what, he did know he could get the third, and with 2 outs, as we said, Johnson throwing a lot of breaking balls. What happens? It makes you as a pitcher think, I don't want to bounce it. So maybe you'll just get it up a little bit, and if you hang a breaking ball to Danny Tartabull, see you later.
Tartabull's numbers aren't that bad when you talk to the people who watch the Yankees every day. He hasn't had that many timely hits thus far, and so many people feel he is really the key if the Yankees are to sustain it in the second half. He's hitting only .247. He does have 52 runs batted in, so he's on a pace for close to 100.
But he's also struck out 93 times.
And he foul tips that one into Wilson's glove, and the count is 0-2.
Well, I've seen him have an opportunity to watch him bat it a lot of times. He's a better high ball hitter if you hang a breaking ball, but otherwise, if the fastball, you can get it up, you'll get it by him. But if you get it down long distance, see you later. This last week hit one in the center field bleachers in Yankee Stadium.
You can see Johnson trying to go up the ladder on Tartabull. It's easy for him to go up the ladder. He is a ladder.
Yeah, been there all his life.
One and two on Tartabull. And a breaking pitch fools him and gets him. So Johnson with 2 strikeouts in the first, but the Yankees get a run, and after a half it's the Yankees 1 and the Mariners coming up.
Buick Regal is winning the hearts of Americans who once drove imports. Now they're demanding Buick quality, and they appreciate Regal's unique features like remote keyless entry, dual-zone climate controls, and steering wheel radio controls, a combination of features unavailable on Toyota Camry and Honda Accord. In fact, many former import owners now look overseas, only because they enjoy the view.
In honor of Sandlot players everywhere, Country Time and JCPenney would like to make an offer of major league significance. Now, in every canister of Country Time, you'll find a $5 certificate good toward baseball apparel for kids and adults at JCPenney. $5 off hats, t-shirts, and jerseys. So hurry in with your certificate. Because, like summer, this offer won't last forever.
Every year, American business wastes millions of dollars on international calls by using the wrong long-distance company. Now you don't have to waste that money. Introducing MCI's Proof Positive Worldwide. Save up to 50% off typical international calls around the world. Call by September 30th and get 1 month of free long distance. Call MCI now and put your money back in your business.
This is the game the world has been waiting for. Italy meets Brazil for soccer's ultimate prize. It's the World Cup Final live Sunday on ABC.
Yankees got a run in the first on a Bernie Williams walk and a steal and Mattingly's double, and they send their ace to the mound. The former Blue Jay now in his second year with the Yankees. Jimmy Key, All-Star Game starter, 38 walks in over 120 innings. Good control, and he'll face this lineup tonight. The Mariners lineup presented by Anheuser-Busch. Felix Fermin leading off at second. Edgar Martinez at third. And then Ken Griffey Jr., superstar, in center, 2 homers last night. Jay Buhner, former Yank, in right. Mike Blowers, another former Yank, at first. Keith Mitchell will be in left. The designated hitter is Tino Martinez. Dan Wilson does the catching. And the 18-year-old shortstop, Alex Rodriguez, called up just prior to the break, bats ninth. Take a look at the last pitch. Danny Tartabull arguing with Durwood Merrill as we were in commercial. Got fooled on a breaking pitch, and Danny went looking.
Well, big strike zone by Durwood Merrill. We'll have a chance to see tonight that he actually takes his hands and spreads them. And most hitters in the American League say that's his strike zone. It is wide, it is up and down, and you don't really see that in Major League Baseball at this point. Doesn't make him a bad umpire, but he has an ample pitcher's strike zone.
The thing about it is, if you're Buck Showalter, you don't want to argue with Merrill too much because Jimmy Key needs that type of umpire behind the plate to be effective. A guy who will expand the strike zone and make the plate 19 inches instead of 17.
And we look at Jimmy Key, an all-star starter, as Al told you. I mean, he's not overpowering, but I tell you what, great, exquisite control outside part of the plate.
Felix Fermin takes the strike. Fermin is hitting .316. He had been the shortstop on an everyday basis, and then when Rodriguez came up and they sent Rich Amaral back to the minors, they moved Fermin over to second. He has played there only sparingly in his career. Fouls it away, and the count 0-2. Take a look at the Yankees defensively.
And not their best defense. You're looking at Don Manning. We highlighted him because he, to me, not only the best defensive player with 9 Gold Gloves, but we have a couple of guys we'll talk about that are out of the lineup, but this is a good hitting ball club, but not their best defense.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Fermin. He'll be followed by Edgar Martinez and Ken Griffey Jr. Key's 1-2 pitch is popped foul, and Stanley will run out of room. Mariners in last place in the West. They have the worst record in the American League, but all you need to know is with realignment and the expanded playoff format, Lou Pinella's team is still in the hunt in a Western Division in which, as I'm sure all of you know who follow baseball, every team is under 500. Texas leads, and they're 3 games under. Comebacker backhanded by Jimmy Key, who throws Fermin out. 1 gone. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember, Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. Country Time Pink Lemonade flavored drink mix with the taste of good old-fashioned lemonade. And MCI, the company that brings you Proof Positive. 1 out of the bottom of the first. The Yankees lead 1-0. Edgar Martinez, 2 years ago, he was the American League batting champion. Last year, in and out of the lineup all year, and finally on the disabled list at the end with a hamstring pull that never really healed. And then started this year, Jim, rather ingloriously, facing Dennis Martinez.
Yeah, hit opening day after having a great spring. This guy can hit. I mean, what a batting champion, as you said. He's back. See the numbers against Key. He's, and the reason he's such a good hitter, he has great plate coverage, and as the years progress, he's become a power hitter.
That's what we were talking about, that pitch off the plate. That pitch is off the plate about 4 inches, but Durwood Merrill making a statement that he's going to be consistent with both teams. He called the outside low breaking ball strike 3 against Tardible, and that ball was outside, so that's an indication of a wide plate.
And missing low and away, 2-2.
I think that the important thing, and hitting instructors and pitching coaches will tell you, listen, we want consistency, and you have to live with it. If you're a pitcher, you have to live with that strike zone, and if you're a hitter, you have to accept it, because it's not going to change. At least that's what you hope.
And that one was at least 4 inches off the plate. Well, one thing about Merrill, he is very consistent tonight. That plate might be about 3 feet wide, but he's consistent.
Well, the important thing to keep in mind is Jim Key can stay out there all night long. Now, this is your definitive shot as far as the ball. I mean, that ball, not even 4 inches, it's almost a half a foot outside. And that's what I've seen in the American League. Tim, you do a lot of National League games. They have not given you any high pitches, but they will expand the strike zone, especially outside.
Ken Griffey Jr. His father's in the ballpark tonight and was here last night as well. Griffey hit 2 homers last night off Melito Perez, 1 to dead center, the other to right. He has 35 for the season. 1-0 the count. Ken Griffey Sr., the great former Cincinnati Red and New York Yankee, and then played with his son here briefly. part of the Seattle organization, still living in Cincinnati, and here with his wife tonight. 2 balls and no strikes on Griffey Jr. Griffey with 35, Matt Williams of the Giants at 33, Frank Thomas of the White Sox at 32, and Jeff Bagwell 28 for Houston. 3-0 the count on Griffey. So Key really giving him nothing to look at, with Buhner waiting on deck.
I would think Lou Piniella would give Griffey the hit sign right here, even though it's lefty against lefty.
In there, and the count 3-1.
In there, but a wide strike.
Oh, yeah. As it should be. I mean, Key's been around long enough to know that, as you said, the possibility of swinging 3-0 might have been on. And there's a breaking ball, 3-1. But see, you know, when you come up as a pitcher, they talk about being able to do that. The difference between Jimmy Key and a lot of young pitchers, he can do it. I mean, he can throw the 3-1 breaking ball over, the 3-1 changeup, the 2-0 breaking ball behind in the count.
Generally speaking, it's good philosophy. Fastballs when you're ahead in the count, breaking balls behind in the count.
And a breaking pitch just misses off the plate. So Key goes 3-0 and then 3-2 and just misses. And Griffey is the Mariners' first base runner of the game. And Jay Buhner comes up.
Well, I've always felt as a former pitcher, the superstars get all the breaks. As they should be.
Jimmy Key's a superstar.
Not like this guy. Now that same pitch was a strike to the batter ahead of him, and then Martinez won a batting championship.
Durwood giveth and Durwood taketh away.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Jay Buhner survived a collision with the wall in New York when the Mariners were there, missed a few games prior to the All-Star break, and is now back. And it's inside for a ball. And the problem is when Buhner's out of the lineup, Griffey really misses him, because Griffey needs a Buhner to hit behind him.
When you can hit 26, 27, 28 home runs, and this guy reminds me very much like Matt Williams. Become a better hitter. He's opened his stance. He sees the ball better. Great power to all fields. And I think the big difference between Jay Buhner than when I saw him 4 or 5 years ago and now is that he makes you, if you're a pitcher, throw the ball over. He was very susceptible to balls out of the strike zone 3 or 4 years ago. Become more disciplined.
144 strikeouts last year.
2-0 the count, and the pitch missing away. 3-0 now on Buhner.
Think about, however, the fact that Jay Buhner, and Jay's a good player, good major league player, averaging 17 home runs, 84 RBIs over the last 3 years. But he's not Lou Gehrig hitting behind Babe Ruth, and he's not Mickey Mantle hitting behind Roger Maris. That's what makes Griffey's feat so far this year all that more remarkable.
Buhner walks on 4 pitches, and so the Mariners threaten in the bottom of the first. Griffey and Buhner each draw walks, very uncharacteristic of Jimmy Key, who has exceptional control, and Mike Blowers, a former Yankee, to stand in.
Well, Randy Johnson starts off the game with a walk. You know, it takes a little bit long to get rid of the ball. He gets to second and he scores because the Yankees took advantage of it. And this is what the game boils down to, whether it's the first inning, the 8th or 9th. Can you hit in the clutch? Can you hit with 2 outs? Can you take advantage of the 2 free passes? As you said, Jimmy Key never, ever gives the other team. On rare occasions.
Griffey at second and Buhner at first, and Blowers, whose wife is expecting at any moment, if he doesn't get a complete game tonight, we'll understand why. In fact, they tell us that they're going to induce labor tomorrow morning if she doesn't give birth tonight, Nicole Buhner. Or Nicole Blowers, excuse me. How would he expect after 4.5 years? I got to warm up here. For just for a second, I thought Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich had come back.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to touch on that, Al.
I understand, boys. Help me out here. 0-1 the count. Yankees leading 1-0. Breaking pitch is hit foul. Off to the left, and it's 0-2.
Speaking of trades, Mike Blowers used to be with the Yankees. Yeah. He came to the Mariners in May of '91.
Speaking of trades, that's nice. I tell you what, he has been a productive hitter for him. Thursday night, you know, when he came up to me, and I saw him years ago. He was a pull hitter. Other night, he hits a 3-run home run to right field, hits a couple of doubles off the right center field wall. But I'll tell you, he'll be tested because Key stays out of the middle of the plate.
Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that's low on the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And this is the 20th start for Jimmy Key, and the only really blemish on his entire record is 6 runs 2 starts ago against the Seattle Mariners. They roughed him up. Other than that, he hadn't given up more than 4 runs. He's done that on 2 occasions. Any of those 20 starts.
Under the watchful eye of the pitching coach Billy Connors, and this is low and away, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Matter of fact, Jimmy beat the Seattle Mariners 7 times. His first 7 appearances against them. He was 7-0, but he's 11-7 lifetime, and has not beaten them as a member of the New York Yankees. He's 0-2, and they roughed him up pretty well.
You mentioned the number 7-0, and that's what Key is on the road this season. Both of his losses have been at Yankee Stadium. And that pitch gets the inside corner, called strike 3. So he fans 2 in the inning, and the Mariners leave 2 after 1-0 New York.
3-2 pitch to Griffey. Ooh. My, oh my! It's a chater. It's a dinger. It's out of here. It'll fly away. It's back. Going, gone. On a 400-foot ride. Into the next county. Raise the window, Aunt Minnie. Here it comes. Kiss that one goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Sayonara, baby. Goodbye, Mr. Rawlings. That ball ain't coming back. And Griffey will touch them all. Holy cow!
Someone very special is on that train. That's why you're driving a Buick LeSabre. You love its powerful V6 engine, anti-lock brakes, and steel safety cage body unit. But you bought LeSabre for the dual airbags, one for you and one for that very special person who sits next to you. LeSabre from Buick, the new symbol for quality in America.
Okay, race fans, the Brickyard 400 is coming August 6th, and there are 2 ways you can win. Number 1, become a NASCAR driver. Dedicate your life to speed, build a race car, get a fire suit, hire a pit crew, and master the sport in less than a month. Or number 2, play the Budweiser Pace Car Sweepstakes. Grab a Brickyard 400 handbook wherever you buy Budweiser. Kick back, watch the race, and you could win one of 4 Chevrolet Monte Carlo pace cars. So it's up to you. A life of torque and compression ratios, or a nice afternoon of racing with the king of beers.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You know he's not perfect, but on certain days in his life, he has been. The night he poured in 63 points, the time he crushed 3 home runs in the World Series, the day he found Dwight Clark in the end zone. And you wish at some point, at some moment in your life, you could be that perfect too. And that's why you cheer for him. That's why you believe in heroes.
Sunday, you'll scream as Bob Saget introduces you to some really hip cats.
This is a miracle.
Tell your friends, America's Funniest Videos Sunday on ABC.
The Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. Yankees 1, Mariners 0. Top of the 2nd inning with Mike Stanley to lead off, and then Pat Kelly and Gerald Williams, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, facing Randy Johnson. Royals leading the Tigers in the bottom of the 1st as we update scores. Most of the games tonight beginning simultaneously. In fact, I believe there's only one game, and that would be Boston at Oakland, that has a later start tonight. So everything on this premier evening of baseball night in America beginning at the same time outside of the one game.
Similar to our late start on Monday night in Anaheim.
1-1 the count. Two and one. The Yankees, we mentioned, with Leyritz doing some of the catching, and Matt Noakes, who had been hurt, is back. But I did ask Buck Showalter last night. I said, hypothetically, you go to postseason play, who's your catcher? And he said, Stanley. 2-2.
Honestly, if you want to look at it, he did earn that right.
Absolutely.
It's the first time last year got a chance to play, mainly because Matt Noakes is a hitter and not a defensive catcher. It's over 300 at 305. It's 26 home runs, never hit more than 8, drives in 84 runs, threw well. But I think they're surprised how well Leyritz did catch this year when Stanley was out with a hamstring problem.
Not only the mechanical things about catching, but the way he handled the pitching staff. It's really remarkable when you consider the fact that Jim Leyritz hadn't caught since 1989.
In the air to right field, and Buhner has to back up all the way back, and that one is gone. So Mike Stanley goes the other way and hits it out over the 23-foot high wall in right field. And Lou Piniella has just watched the Yankees take a 2-0 lead in Seattle. Home run number 10 for Mike Stanley.
Well, we may have a pitcher's umpire tonight in Durwood Merrill, but this is not a pitcher's ballpark. Thursday night ball was flying out of here. Again, you look fastball off Randy Johnson. You're looking for the ball. If you have confidence in your swing, you'll let the ball get to you. You don't mind hitting it the other way. And that's the one thing about this Yankee team. I'll tell you what, I do a lot of games in the American League, and this is the best prepared offensive team. I think a lot of credit has to go to their hitting instructor, Rick Downs. Philosophical. I mean, he's at the cage every day with the mechanical stuff, but this guy's got a game plan, and you got to have that if you're going to be a good hitter.
Better prepared than Cleveland, Jim?
No, yes, actually, you know, and I think why is because they don't have as good a hitters. They got better hitters in Cleveland.
Pat Kelly at the plate with nobody out, and Randy Johnson's 1-1 pitch is in there for a strike, and the count is 1-2. Kelly hitting .296, hits it high in the air to left field. That's Keith Mitchell making the catch. One gone, and let's check in with John Saunders.
Well, guys, as you know, in this first year of the wild card, the Yankees in first place, but they have to keep an eye on the Indians and the White Sox as well. Carlos Baerga had 4 hits last night. Here's another tonight. It gets past Tim Raines. Vizquel comes around to score. 1-0 Cleveland on top in the second inning. Al, Jim, and Tim.
All right, thank you, John. Here the Yankees lead 2-0 with 1 out and the bases empty in the second inning, and Gerald Williams lifts one down the line and into the corner. Mitchell giving chase, and it hits the foul pole screen for a home run. Gerald Williams hitting it right down the line and into the screen. So 2 homers and a double in the first inning and a third off Randy Johnson, and the Yankees lead it 3-0.
We talked about hanging breaking balls earlier in the game. Mattingly drove in the first run on a hanging slider. Gerald Williams doesn't play that much, I tell you, but great skills. Another breaking ball. That's got the bat head out, and the rest is history. And if you're Randy Johnson, you want this ball to curl foul. If you're Gerald Williams, you said keep straight, and it did right off the foul pole.
Third home run of the season for Gerald Williams, who's making only his 16th start. And Silvestri is at the plate, and the count 1-0. So Showalter had to go with the right-handed hitting lineup tonight without Boggs, without Polonia, without O'Neill, and without Noakes, and it's 3-0 in the second inning. Two and one. Showalter, by the end of this season, and you have to assume he's going to finish it, will have the longest continuous service of any manager in the Steinbrenner era. 3 years.
And he's still the youngest manager in baseball.
Well, he's done a terrific job. I mean, if you look at the ball club, 3 years ago they won 76 games. Last year, I think a lot of people forget this, they won 88 ball games. Melito Perez won 6-14. Jim Abbott 11-14. All of a sudden these guys are pitching a little bit better. This team easily should win 95 games. I don't know if that's going to win it, but that they should put somewhere in the 90 range with wins.
You talked about how prepared the Yankee hitters were. I think that's a follow-up with how prepared Buck Showalter is.
Silvestri hits it in the air to shallow right. That's Buhner, and that's out number 2. Bernie Williams coming up. Program note: tomorrow night on ABC, it's America's Funniest Hour, followed by Lois and Clark, the new adventures of Superman, and then Gene Hackman and William Dafoe star in Mississippi Burning. That's tomorrow night on ABC. Bernie Williams started the game with a walk and stole second and scored on a Mattingly double. Yankees on top 3-0. Well, if the Yankees win 95, they may not win the East, but you would think it would get them into postseason play this year with the expanded playoffs. And the Yankees have not been in postseason play, as Jim mentioned at the very beginning, since 1981, as you look at Wade Boggs and Jim Abbott, despite, I'm sure, leading the majors cumulatively in gross revenues over that period of time.
Absolutely. $50 million from their MSG cable contract alone. I'm not too sure 95 wins will be enough to get them a wild card or a lead, because you got Cleveland and Chicago playing as well as the Yankees in Baltimore, if not better, in the American League Central Division.
Yeah, you got 4 teams playing for those 3 spots.
Right.
And I think all those 4 teams know that.
Well, somebody who shouldn't be there in the eyes of the purists will be there, the winner of the West. And somebody who should be there won't. Either, as you say, it'll be out of the mix of the way it looks right now, Cleveland, Chicago, the Yankees, or Baltimore.
See, Randy Johnson not happy with the pitches he's getting. And, you know, it's funny. I talked to Jim Leyritz, who's a DH tonight. He said it depends what kind of attitude he comes out here with. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the last time when he struck out 12, he's thrown about 95 miles per hour. Earlier in the year, he came out. He said he really didn't look like he was really into it, throwing in the low 90s. And that makes a difference for a guy that's a power pitcher, not a control pitcher. You know, if you're off 4 miles for Jimmy Key, he can still pitch and change speeds well enough to be successful.
Meanwhile, that last pitch prior to that was no pitch, and it's a good thing that Durwood Merrill was paying attention, as Randy Johnson didn't hear time called, and it went all the way to the screen. Now the count is 3-2.
Bernie Williams stepped out late against Johnson, and his last pitch was his fastest fastball of the night, 97 miles an hour. Threw that with anger.
And he strikes him out. But in the inning, for the first time since April of '93, Johnson gives up 2 homers in an inning, and the Yanks lead 3-0.
One of the most striking designs of the decade. The all-new Riviera by Buick.
We're going for a walk. On your feet. Stretch. Stand tall. Shoulders back. Head level. Let's go! You know, a brisk walk is a great aerobic exercise that burns off calories. Gets rid of that pot belly. Oh, brother. There. Feel better? Ah! Dog lips!
For more facts on healthy walking, call for your free MetLife booklet.
When I played basketball, I always wanted the ball. And I got it where it should go. And I always drank Gatorade, because nothing's better. Now I'm playing baseball. I still drink Gatorade. I still want the ball. I still know where it should go. And sooner or later, we're gonna get it there. I hope. It's gotta be Gatorade.
Pringles Light has become Pringles Right Crisps. Still a third less fat, and now better taste than this.
That's right! Got new Pringles Right Crisps! That's right! Less fat and better taste than this! That's right! Better taste and less grease, the proof's right here you see! That's right! It's not a tip up sample blind! Pringles Right Crisps, the taste bob's here! Pringles Right Crisps, the taste bob's here!
A whole new concept in advanced ergonomic design is something that will make you very comfortable. The all-new Riviera by Buick.
An elite group of golf's best tee off in the final round of their sports premier international event. From Turnberry in Scotland, it's the British Open tomorrow here on ABC.
Baseball night in America. The Yankees and the Mariners, 3-0 New York. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver updating other scores. The Mets in the bottom of the second, leading the Padres. Dodgers on top in the National League West with the early lead. Braves out in front of the Marlins. Braves in Montreal.
tied for the lead in the East. The Giants, trying to make it 7 straight, are at Montreal. Keith Mitchell. Mitchell, Martinez, and Dan Wilson. Keith Mitchell would be regarded officially as a rookie, though this fella has played in a World Series. One of those crazy things where he didn't have enough at-bats or time with the big league club with Atlanta in '91, but he was there long enough to go into postseason play and appeared twice in the World Series against Minnesota.
As a position player, in order to qualify for the Rookie of the Year, you cannot have more than 130 at-bats during any previous season.
And Mitchell walks on 4 pitches, so Jimmy Key has walked 3 of the first 6 men he has faced. Toronto and Texas, no score. Or is that Toronto? That screw up by the manufacturer on Joe Carter's uniform the other night got a lot of play. It was in, I think, every paper that I saw.
Paul Molitor's name was spelled wrong at the All-Star game.
Put an E, but that was just in the clubhouse. The pitch is a strike to Tino Martinez, and the count is 0-1.
Well, I guess it's obvious that they didn't appreciate Toronto winning the last 2 World Championships. Whoever made that uni.
They didn't win any spelling bees.
No, they didn't. Must be a Republican.
0-1 pitch to Martinez. What's the deeper meaning of that now?
Yeah.
1-1 the count. Oh, I get you.
Another potato controversy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fortunate thing is that former Vice President Quayle went to the same high school as I did.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's why I said, just give me those fries.
FRYS, right?
1 ball, 2 strikes the count on Tino Martinez. He's the designated hitter tonight. On most nights he plays first base, and the pitch just off the plate. 2-2 the count.
And as a left-hander, I mean, Key normally gets left-handed out pretty well. I mean, this year they're only hitting .235, but he's lifetime pretty good success. As 6 for 16 with 2 home runs. And when you walk that guy, you set up that first base hole. Martinez, maybe not with 2 strikes, but if he had gotten ahead in the count 2-0-3-1, he would have tried to put a ball into right field. And that's something you have to do. You trail by 3 runs, and if Jimmy Key's already walked 3, gives you a gift, you try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you're behind by as many runs as the Mariners are early, you have to play a passive game, not an aggressive game.
They do that anyway. They hardly ever run.
Same with the Yankees.
Called strike 3. So Martinez is gone on strikes. 3 walks and 3 strikeouts for Jimmy Key. Let's get another update.
The Orioles a half game behind the Yankees facing the Angels tonight. Rafael Palmeiro had a home run, his 17th. And then Chris Sabo, little doubt about this one, his 10th of the year. And the Orioles have opened up a 2-0 lead over Chuck Finley. Let's take it back to Al, Jim, and Tim.
Okay, John, so the Orioles in each of the last 2 nights thought they were going to wind up in first place, but the Yankees overcame a 7-1 deficit here Thursday. Last night trailed by 2 in the 9th, tied the game and won it in the 11th, and remain a half game up on Baltimore.
Mike Mussina going for Baltimore tonight, and he and Jimmy Key are tied for the lead in wins in the American League. Both have 13.
Key working here on Dan Wilson, 1 out. Keith Mitchell at first base. 3-0 Yankees. If you joined us late, Mattingly drove in Bernie Williams in the first with a double. And then Mike Stanley and Gerald Williams hit home runs in the 2nd inning off Randy Johnson. Wilson up there to bunt and fouls it back, and the count is 0-2.
That's a good play. He caught Dave Silvestri back at third base, and that's that passive game that we were talking about.
It's even a better play earlier in the count with no strikes. Now with 2 strikes, he'll go back. But to your point, I mean, he's back almost on that line behind third base. So if you're, I mean, even though Wilson has been hitting a little bit better as late, why not take advantage of that? Yeah.
Mitchell held on by Mattingly at first. He's 0-2 pitches, a half swing and a miss. He strikes out, and down to second goes Mitchell. So Wilson couldn't hold back in time. That's 4 strikeouts to go with the 3 walks by Key, but Keith Mitchell with a steal of second.
Excellent base running by Keith Mitchell. This ball doesn't go but about a foot or 2 away from Mike Stanley, but Mitchell went immediately, and once again with 2 strikes, the catcher has to stay back and make sure of the out at the plate instead of worrying about the runner. But good base running by Mitchell.
And actually, it's going to be scored as a wild pitch because he wasn't breaking with a pitch. In there for a strike, and the count is 0-1. So despite good base running, in effect, it's something that he should receive some sort of credit for, but won't. One of those heads-up plays that just never gets denoted in any statistical computation. Now Alex Rodriguez at the plate. He will not be 19 until the end of the month. He was the #1 pick overall last year, and 18-year-old shortstops in the expansion era, 1960 and beyond. Tony La Russa, who did not have a great playing career. He's a fabulous manager, as we know. Robin Yount, he'll be in the Hall of Fame someday, came up as an 18-year-old with Milwaukee. And then there's Alex Rodriguez, who drills one into left center for a base hit. Mitchell rounds third and comes in to score, so that alert base running by Keith Mitchell pays off as Rodriguez on the Mariners' first hit is able to plate Mitchell to make it 3-1.
And that's his first RBI at the major league level. I mean, you talked about it early that he's up here for his defense. But I tell you, you watch him in batting practice, if he gets a good pitch to hit, and you get a lot of them in BP, he does swing the bat. The ball jumps off it. And he gets a good pitch there, a little bit too much in the middle of the plate, and it's 3-1.
He is 6'3", about 190 pounds, and Lou Piniella says that some of the scouts were talking to him and said, you know, this guy might bulk up like Juan Gonzalez. It could be a problem. Lou said, that's a problem?
I tell you, that kid, and not only, I mean, you know, very much like Griffey, he's young, he's got great ability, he's going to have to hone those skills to play at this level, but he's a nice young kid.
Very poised and very confident.
He said, I'm like a vacuum cleaner. I just want to suck up all this information and get better.
He was born in New York City. I asked him where. He said just near the George Washington Bridge. He lived there till he was 4, did Rodriguez, and then he moved to the Dominican Republic until he was 7. And then the family went to Miami, and he's been a South Floridian since, as Fermin grounds one into right for a base hit. And Rodriguez will stop at second as the throw is cut off by Velarde. So with 2 out, the Mariners have runners at first and second, trail by 2, and Edgar Martinez will come up.
Felix Fermin was a .256 lifetime hitter before this year, and remarkably entered the game batting .316, and that's one of the reasons. He's starting to use all parts of the field, and a hitter like him has to do that to be successful.
Well, and if you want to be successful against Jimmy Key, I mean, he'll make mistakes. Yeah. We saw him do it to Rodriguez. You have to hit the ball to right field.
Yep.
Especially if you're a right-handed batter.
Now Martinez hitting .312. Fouls it at the plate, and that got a piece of Stanley.
Looked like the ring finger or the pinky on the right hand. And the one thing that you hope is Gene Monahan, the trainer of the Yankees, is out. The one thing that you hope that it's in the bone and not in the finger if it's a bruise.
Well, the Yankees right now have to hold their collective breaths here with Leyritz hurt. Noakes just off the disabled list recently, and now Stanley, and Buck Showalter is going to come out to take a closer look.
Our catchers try to hide the hand behind the mitt. You could see Stanley trying to do that, but the hand slithered out from behind the mitt. The one thing you try to do is to keep the fingers as relaxed as possible, and then when the foul ball hits it, it has give with it. A lot of guys used to talk about keeping the fist closed with men on base. Of course, you're ready to throw, but when you open the hand with the fist closed, you open the hands and the fingers are taut. They're not relaxed.
You know, I asked you before the game, you played 4 decades at major league level, and you were a catcher. How'd you get started?
Little League?
Well, I started when I was 10 years old, like most catchers. Even though a guy like Bob Boone, who has caught the second most games in baseball behind Carlton Fisk, started out as a third baseman. But most catchers are catchers in Little League, high school, American Legion, all the way up.
On the subject of catchers, and we talked about Matt Noakes, a lot of you probably saw this on highlight shows early this morning. Matt Noakes and Billy Connors got into it, and then Buck Showalter has to push them back into the tunnel. And this came after Ken Griffey had hit a 3-run homer off Melito Perez.
And it wasn't the pitch that Griffey hit. It was the pitch and the way that they worked Edgar Martinez, the hitter before that. 3-1 slider to get to Griffey when you have a 4-run lead. And that's what Billy was trying to get across. And hey, the truth, I'm surprised more things don't happen like that.
Oh, they do. I mean,
they do, and you don't read about it. That's right, Jim. That's right.
Well, each of the principals downplayed it today, as the pitch is popped up near the mound. Silvestri coming in with Mattingly, and it's Silvestri back of the mound to make the catch and retire the side. But the Mariners get a run, leave 2 in the second. New York 3, Seattle 1 after 2.
Budweiser welcomes you to the Voodoo Lounge. The Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge Tour, live. Only one band is rock and roll, and only one beer can bring it to you. Budweiser, king of beers.
2 MVPs, 2 rings. I've been working hard. Maybe this year, I'll take a little time off. There, that was refreshing.
All men are created equal. Some just work harder in the preseason.
Chevy Camaro. What else would you expect from the country that invented rock and roll?
Keith told us that he would never, ever get a chance to meet Ken Griffey, and Make-A-Wish has granted that for him.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
It's maybe the only wish that he ever has. And it's like, yeah, I've never turned anyone down, and I won't, because you never know how long they have.
Anything you want to know?
Keith said the only thing I want from you is a bat, and he wanted to toss. Those are the only 2 things that he wanted. It's an experience that you can't forget.
Is this your favorite player right here?
Yes.
You picked a good one. How do you feel about increased male potency?
Better sex through science. Why not?
Lewis has the formula guys are dying for. Lewis and Clark, Sunday on ABC.
Tough to get the circulation back into those fingers. First, the finger turns blue, and then it swells up. But fortunately for Mike, it appeared to be the little finger on the right hand and not his throwing fingers, which are the index finger and the middle finger.
Third inning begins with Randy Velarde at the plate and Randy Johnson on the mound. Velarde struck out in the first. Johnson, leading the majors in strikeouts, has 3 in 2 innings, but he's yielded 3 runs, including homers to Stanley and Gerald Williams. 0-2 the count. Just got a piece of it. We spoke earlier that Velarde has owned Johnson, but tonight he has struck out, and now the count is 2-2 with Mattingly on deck.
No, it's the active, or at least inactive Yankee that has the best numbers is Bob Melvin, 14 for 31 off Johnson. And you caught a guy that's getting in the Hall of Fame this year, Steve Carlton. But I'll go back to this point.
Velarde down on strikes. Strikeout number 4 for Randy Johnson. We'll get back to that point after we bring you these middle billboards, as Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Chevrolet. The cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And Goodyear, #1 in tires. As you were saying, sir?
Oh, the point that Melvin said is that if Randy Johnson pitched like Steve Carlton and threw that slider down and into right-handers instead of trying to backdoor it, bring it around the outside corner, he said you couldn't hit him.
One and one. Randy Johnson among the all-time leaders, in fact second on the all-time list, strikeouts per 9 innings in the history of baseball. Only Ryan Johnson and Sandy Koufax have averaged more than a strikeout an inning, with Sam McDowell and Herb Score rounding out the top 5 among those with at least 100 starts.
That's a similar type slider that you were talking about, a slider that went down. The thing is, I think you risk injury with a guy like Johnson trying to teach him that pitch.
Mattingly reaches out and grounds it to third. Martinez knocks it down, picks it up, throws, and dug out, but too late at first base. Mike Blauer is able to dig it out, but Darrell Cousins said that Mattingly had beaten it out. Don on for the second time in the game. We'll see how they scored.
A long throw, tough play, had to go to his left. A lot of times the ball doesn't speed up on AstroTurf, but you get that top spin. And, you know, everybody thinks you don't get the bad hops, but the ball doesn't slow down. And a lot of times if your glove is not there or you're not a particularly good fielder, Martinez a much better hitter than fielder, you're not going to make that play.
Don was safe and they gave him a hit on it.
As they should have.
2 for 2 with a double and a single now. And Leyritz is at the plate. Strike. 0-1.
See, that's a soft slider. Carlton threw a hard and heavy slider because he was the strongest man from his fingertips to his elbow that I have ever met. And he didn't get under the slider, but all he did was put pressure on the middle finger, and the ball went down. And unusually, the two guys that came into play was the first base umpire, because of a lot of check swings by right-handers, and the third baseman. And Lefty, through most of his career, was fortunate enough to have Mike Schmidt down there.
Leyritz gone on strikes. That's 5 strikeouts tonight and 155 for the season for Johnson.
Well, we talked earlier. Now he throws a 4-seam fastball. That was the fastball he just threw right by Jim Leyritz. He also throws a 2-seam fastball. You don't see that on many occasions because he is a power pitcher. That 4-seamer goes up. This one will sink. And the slider, we've seen that many occasions, and every once in a while he'll throw a changeup. And in my opinion, and Sammy Ellis, the pitching coach, if he throws a changeup, he is doing the hitter a favor because his other 2 pitches are superb. There's Sammy.
Tartable takes just off the plate. Derwood Merrill shaking his head. 2-0 the count. Randy says, now tell me exactly where that was.
Around the plate? Yeah, right. Derwood.
That's updated. Counting tonight. Bennis of San Diego leads the National League with 152. Fouled away. 2-1.
You know, Sammy Ellis, we saw him, the pitching coach. He said, you know, about last summer we got into this routine with Randy Johnson. He said he never throws on the side between starts, very much like Gaylord Perry. He said we go down, we play long catch the second day because he pitches every 5th day. And then on the 3rd day, we just go out in the outfield on flat ground. I sit 60 feet away, and we play catch. Work on what they call a form day. And since then, he's gone 18-4. Something must be working.
2-1 to Tartable is fouled back, and it's 2-2. Mattingly at first base, 2 out, 3rd inning. Yankees leading 3-1. Don Mattingly has not played in a postseason game ever. We talked about the Yankees not being involved in postseason play since '81. Mattingly came up after that, and Don one of the few. And I guess when you think about a Mattingly, it reminds all of us of Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks never got to play on a pennant winner. It's been easier though. Banks spent most of his career in a situation where you just had one league, and there it is, most career games with active players. No postseason experience. Julio Franco actually has played 2 more than Mattingly. Grounded wide of third, and Martinez lets Rodriguez handle it, and he gets the force at second. So the veteran says to the 18-year-old, "You take it, kid," and he does. 3-1 after 2.5.
The only real game, I think, in the world, baseball.
He was the Bambino, the Sultan of Swat, the Wali of Wallop, the Wazir of Wham, the Maharaja of Mash, the Raja of Rap, the Caliph of Clout, the Behemoth of Bust.
From the upcoming PBS documentary, Baseball, a General Motors Mark of Excellence presentation.
Chances are, at one time or another, you've had a Chevy in your life. Maybe it's just because more people drive Chevrolets than any other brand. Or maybe it's because we've always believed that what it's really all about is finding a car or truck you can love. Over the next few months, Chevrolet will introduce more new cars and trucks than anyone else. Every one designed not just to occupy a space in your garage, but to find a place in your life. Genuine Chevrolet.
Category.
Music.
Deep Purple, man. Classic.
Foreigner.
Huh? Yeah, man.
First album.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Ah, Meatloaf. I wonder what his friends call him. Me?
Mr. Loaf. How about My Sharon?
Beechwood aged Budweiser.
Supertramp.
Crisp, clean, classic.
Frampton Comes Alive. Moment of silence, please. Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, all right.
A simple verse for a simple sale this week at Goodyear on these selected Goodyear tires for cars and light trucks. Buy 3 at regular price, 4th one's free. Isn't that swell? Swell?
When you come to TGI Fridays, it's going to be great. Why? It's Friday's passion. We're compulsively preoccupied with the notion that we have to guarantee every day, every time, that at Fridays, it's going to be great. Guaranteed.
St. Petersburg, Russia welcomes the world's finest athletes to one of the biggest international events of the year, the Goodwill Games. Coverage begins next Saturday here on ABC.
Will there be a players' strike? Most people seem to think so. If so, would Ken Griffey Jr., in light of the year he's been having, be particularly disappointed?
Timing is everything. There's time and a place, and to me, I just picked a bad year to have a good year. I mean, that's all. I mean, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, if it happens, it happens. You know, maybe I'll get another shot. And, you know, that's all I can ask.
Well, he's on a pace right now to do it as he pops one up into shallow left field, and Silvestri goes back and makes the catch. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Griffey, after a first inning walk, starts the third by popping out, and Jay Buhner comes to the plate. 3-1 Yankees in the bottom of the third inning. 1 out, nobody on.
I always had a theory, when you want to face home run hitters with nobody on. And the reason is because, especially a guy like Griffey is hitting .334, at least going into the game, is because he's going to try to hit home runs. If you get runners on base, he becomes a line drive contact hitter, and the home runs, they just come accidentally. Do they ever?
A lot of accidents this year.
Only 35 of them.
Jimmy Key works on Buhner, and well, that's that 4 inches outside, but a strike by Derwood Merrill.
No, there's that 2-seam fastball. He'll just run it away from the right-handers. He'll also throw a curveball. He's gotten about 3 outs on that already tonight. Slider, we've seen him get the big Key strikeout.
Lifted down the line into the left field corner, and racing over to make the catch is Williams. 2 down. So Gerald Williams takes care of Buhner, and it will bring up Mike Flowers.
Yeah, an inside fastball to a right-handed hitter is not a 2-seam fastball unless it's a mistake.
Right.
And this was inside to Buhner. It could have been a mistake, but it looked like he was trying to ride the 4-seamer in on the hands.
No, he cuts the ball, and we 3 of us did that 87, that last game when Toronto was trying to beat the Tigers.
Right.
And Jimmy Key on the mound made 1 mistake that afternoon. That was to Larry Herndon, and the Tigers won 1-0. And probably the most important pitch, in my opinion, that he throws is the changeup. It's not a circle change. If you put your index finger and your thumb together, it would be, but he just throws it, turns it over a little bit, looks very much like the fastball.
1-1. One pitch, a strike, and the count 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes the count. Jimmy Key delivers to Blowers away. 2-2. Got him. 5 strikeouts for Key and 5 for Johnson as well. 3-1 New York after 3. We'll return to Baseball Night in America after this from our ABC stations.
Starting August 1st, Coach is moving to a new night, Mondays. But till then, you can still see Coach on Tuesdays. Coach is moving to a new night, Mondays, starting August 1st, here on ABC.
Continental flies more non-stops from the New York area to more cities in Florida than any other airline. It's more airline for your money.
When you're buying a car, $40 doesn't go very far. But when you're selling one, it's all you need. For just $40, you can run an ad in the New York Post for your car, truck, or recreational vehicle until it sells. A day, a week, a month, whatever it takes. $40 does it. We even take Visa and MasterCard. Call 212-815-8100 or check the New York Post for details. That's 212-815-8100 to run an ad for your car until it sells. Guaranteed auto classifieds, only in the New York Post.
What is it about cars and Shell? What is it that makes Shell the world's best-selling gasoline? Perhaps it's just chemistry. Shell, the world's best-selling gasoline.
I'm sorry, okay? How do you lose playoff tickets? It happens. No, losing your keys happens. Losing 15th row playoff tickets does not happen. Get in.
The Isuzu Trooper was designed around a very simple premise.
Where are we going? Somewhere they won't find your body.
Life's an adventure. Be prepared.
Whoa! Okay, give me the binoculars.
Binoculars. They're on the hall table next to the tickets. Isuzu, practically amazing.
Continental flies more non-stops from the New York area to more cities in Florida than any other airline. It's more airline for your money.
The Lotto jackpot's $10 million. Watch for your winning numbers at 11.
4th inning at the Kingdome in Seattle. 3-1 is the score. The Yankees on top, and Mike Stanley to lead things off. Mike Stanley leading off in the 4th inning, hit a home run in the 2nd. And then took that foul tip off his finger, so let's see if that affects him at all at the plate. His home run looked like this in the 2nd. Right field. Strike, and the count is 1-1.
Foul tip on the pinky of his right hand. And as you can see, that's where he turns over, so it could affect the swing.
Yeah, especially tomorrow. One of those situations where tonight they might be able to be able to play, but not tomorrow. That will bother him.
Orioles still leading on homers by Palmeiro and Sabo. Rangers on top in the West. leading Toronto. Royals 3-2 over the Tigers in the fourth. And in the big one in Chicago, 2-0 Indians. In the air to left center field and deep, and Griffey races back and almost went back too far. Turns it into a belt-high basket catch.
I think what he was trying to do there, Al, was to avoid Keith Mitchell. See, he's got one eye on Mitchell. You could see him look at him, and now Mitchell's in the shadow, and Ken makes a nice play.
Gold Glove outfielder, and he says of all the things he does, and he does so many things so well, as we all know, he says he gets the most fun, the most enjoyment, the biggest thrill out of playing center field.
Well, it's probably the biggest challenge for him. And if you really look at it, he hits so well. I mean, everybody talks about how natural he is.
To left field, very high and fairly deep, and deep enough so that Mitchell lost it, or it may have hit the speaker. And on his way to third, and in there diving is Pat Kelly. And I'll tell you, he hit that one high enough that it had to have hit something. It hit a guy wire or a speaker.
I'll tell you, I've never seen that happen. I mean, the ground rule, yeah, the ground rule is that the ball is in play.
Yep.
Well, there's no doubt it's one of those things where in the ballpark, nobody really looks at the ball itself, including the outfielder. Most of the fans are watching the outfielder, and that one came down behind the shortstop. So that hit, I would have to think it's a guy wire, because I don't see any speakers in its line of flight.
There's a wire holding the speaker, however, and it could have hit that above the speaker. But anyway, Kelly has a triple, only the 11th triple of the season for the Yankees as a team. That's the lowest amount in the big leagues. I thought for a moment there we were in the Metrodome in Minnesota.
Kelly had that one wired as Williams on a half swing misses, and the count is 0-1. Well, Dave Kingman, I believe, hit one off a speaker or a wire in this ballpark. And
I think it's stuck in the roof.
If I remember, that was the one that didn't come down.
Yeah,
well, it got stuck somewhere.
Heads up base running, and because he was running, he gets the triple, and now the Yankees move in, and they have to do this because the Mariners move in because it's 3-1.
And in the early 70s, around 1974, I know Mike Schmidt hit one in the Astrodome.
Right.
That looked like it was going out to dead center and wound up plopping behind second base. He hit a speaker in Houston. So there were the speakers. I tend to think that one may have hit a wire.
This one, it helps to be a strikeout pitcher when you're leading the majors in strikeouts.
0-2 is foul back. The infield plays in because the Mariners are already down by 2 and cannot afford to give up another on a ground ball. Look at the defensive alignment.
Yeah, they won't play in on AstroTurf quite as far as they would on grass. Lou said, hey, let's get 8 runs like we did the last 2 nights, and maybe we'll win tonight. Didn't help on Thursday when they lost 13-8, or last night when they lost 10-8.
Lou in need of a shave and a victory. Half swing, and they say yes at first base as Darryl Cousins says it's a swinging strike, and down he goes. 2 out. Let's check in with John Saunders. Get this update.
The Jays and the Rangers, and Pat Hentgen hasn't lost since May 31st, but Pudge Rodriguez with Hulse aboard here. His 12th home run of the year. It erases a 1-0 Toronto lead. Devon White had a home run. It's now 3-1. Let's go back to Al, Jim, and Tim.
Okay, John, 3-1 there and 3-1 here. Yankees on top, 2 out, Kelly at third, and Silvestri swings and misses. Dave playing third base tonight. If you joined us late with Randy Johnson pitching, Buck Showalter has elected to sit Wade Boggs down. Luis Polonia is out of the lineup, and so is Paul O'Neill. So Silvestri gets the start at third base. Called up from Columbus.
Yeah, 13 home runs down there. He is a much better hitter than a defensive player. But if you're Randy Johnson, you're an all-star. This is the guy you got to get out. If you want to win tonight, you've got to get this guy out. Keep your club in the game.
Oh, good play by Wilson. 58-footer right there, and he smothered it. Fine play by Dan Wilson.
He was a hockey player in high school, he was telling me before the game, and that's a nice save. Save and a beauty, as John Davidson likes it.
Like Mike Richter right there.
Yeah, right.
Those are the toughest kind, the breaking balls that bounce in front of the plate. Fine play by Dan Wilson to save a run.
Well, he's here for a number of reasons. He's not making a lot of money, and Dave Valley, who last year had a career year, was, but we saw him throw last night, threw out a potential stolen base, and he can catch.
Inside, 2-1 the count.
And if you're Randy Johnson, you have a guy just up from AAA in Columbus, even though he has hit a home run off you. And you'd much rather get him out than to go to the next guy, Bernie Williams, who's hitting over 350 from the right side.
That's grounded toward the middle. Rodriguez is there to snap it up and throw him out. The #1 pick overall last year, and now you know why. Middle of the fourth.
You beat it up, weigh it down, push it around, and it never asks for a day off. You expect that from a Chevy truck. And when it comes time to sell your Chevy, it'll keep on giving with the highest resale value of any full-size pickup. So you not only get more for your dollar, you get more back. From Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Every year, American business wastes millions of dollars on international calls by using the wrong long-distance company. Now you don't have to waste that money. Introducing MCI's Proof Positive Worldwide. Save up to 50% off typical international calls around the world. Call by September 30th and get 1 month of free long distance. Call MCI now and put your money back in your business.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. January, February, March, April, May, June, July.
Introducing the new Diet Coke can. It just might change your life forever.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
This is the game the world has been waiting for. Italy meets Brazil for soccer's ultimate prize. It's the World Cup Final live Sunday on ABC.
Alex Rodriguez, the 18-year-old from South Florida, taking a base hit and a run, as it turns out, away from the New York Yankees.
I mean, 1 year removed from high school, and all the major league scouts said he could have come up last year and played shortstop. You know, maybe he would have had trouble hitting. I'll tell you, pitcher's best friend is a good defensive play, especially with a runner on 3rd and 2 outs. That saves him a run and keeps the Mariners in the game.
Well, tonight, the premiere of Baseball Night in America will have 6 nights of regular season action, including this coming Monday, the day after tomorrow, at 8 o'clock Eastern and 7 Central, and 8 o'clock for many of you on the West Coast. Baseball Night in America, regional coverage of just about every game taking place in baseball that night. Those of you in New York will see the Dodgers against the Mets, and those of you in the Pacific Northwest will see the Mariners against the Baltimore Orioles from the Kingdom. Keith Mitchell, Tino Martinez, and Dan Wilson come up in the bottom of the 4th inning to face Jimmy Key in quest of his 14th win. 3-1 Yankees. One thing about the Mariners, they may be in last place, but they have become a great road attraction. You've got Griffey, you've got Randy Johnson, who's a great road attraction, and we're certainly not going to anoint Rodriguez at this point in his career as Mattingly gets set to camp under Keith Mitchell's pop-up. 1 out and Martinez coming up, but when you take a look at Rodriguez and you watch him, and there are the standings, and despite being 15 games under 500, Seattle is still in the race, as is California, and the A's are 4 back of Texas. But as Rodriguez develops, when Seattle comes to your town, I mean, you got to say to yourself, hey, Griffey, Johnson, this kid at shortstop, they are a big gate draw. foul away, and the count is 0-1.
And Lou Piniella, too, who was drafted by the Seattle Pilots back in 1969 and then traded to the Kansas City Royals, where he was the Rookie of the Year.
Actually, he also played the Oriole organization. I played A-ball with Lou. Boy, I got some great stories.
I'm sure of that. But I'll tell you one thing about Lou Piniella. He has been a winner wherever he played or managed. Managed the Yankees back in the mid-'80s. He managed the Cincinnati Reds to a world title in 1990. So he's talking about how very difficult it has been with the Mariners being patient.
He also talked about the fact that 5 years ago, he said, I'd be pulling my hair out. But again, I think he realizes as Martinez goes down on strikes that this club, as long as they play hard, he's going to satisfy the fans. Maybe not in terms of winning or losing, but at least doing the best he can. And I'll tell you what, there was no better competitor than Lou Piniella when he played.
It's better to pull your hair out than to have it fall out. And neither has happened to Lou.
Tino Martinez striking out at 6 Ks now for Jimmy Key, who had control trouble early. Key walked 3 of the first 6 Mariners he's faced, but he has settled down now. He's retired 6 straight, and with 2 out, the catcher Dan Wilson takes low, ball 1.
No, he's not a strikeout pitcher, and he would rather not do that. He would rather have you hit that sinker to the second baseman or the shortstop. I think if you're the Mariners, you want the pitch count to get up. He's pitching with a 1 less day rest.
That's off Key's glove, and Velarde has to adjust but does not have a play. So Wilson will get credit for an infield single. 3 hits for the Mariners, all have been singles.
Jimmy Key started the All-Star game, and his normal day rest would be on Sunday. He's coming back with only 3 days. And you know, the one thing that he always been able to do is field well. He holds runners well. I mean, not only does he have great location and be able to change pitches, he fields his position well. There, a ball that, again, on the AstroTurf, it doesn't go any faster, but it doesn't slow down. If you're a pitcher, you usually end up about 56 feet from home plate. It's a reflex, and he wasn't able to make the play.
Velarde would have made the play had he come up with the ball cleanly, but kind of snow-coned it and didn't have a good grip on it.
In there for a strike to Rodriguez, and the count is 0-1.
Well, I saw I saw Robin Yount come up at 18. I saw him make an error in the 9th inning to put the Orioles ahead, and then hit a 2-run home run to win it in the bottom of the 9th in Milwaukee. I mean, he had very similar skills. He was, you know, wiry kid, maybe not quite as tall as Alex Rodriguez. Great arm, great range, even though he did make some mistakes. I think this youngster's got better hands than Robin Yount out at shortstop. I'm not sure he's going to get 3,000 hits, though, like Robin.
Full rip and a miss, and the count 1-2 on Rodriguez.
Alex's favorite player when he was growing up was Keith Hernandez of the New York Mets. As a matter of fact, he wore 17 for most of the time that he was in high school, and he would have requested 17 upon joining the Mariners. He said, but 3's all right. I guess any number is all right when you're 18.
Babe Ruth wore 3.
Yeah.
It's grounded to short, and Velarde goes the easy way to Kelly, and that's that in the 4th. At the end of 4 full, Yankees 3, Mariners 1.
Imagine the feeling of running with the wind at your back. Moving effortlessly, in total control. And you never get tired. The all-new 1995 Monte Carlo. Your own personal space, designed for a very personal fit. The new Monte Carlo, genuine Chevrolet.
Imagine. It's possible to change the way a car performs over time. With new Clean System 3 Power Plus and Power Premium. For cars that can benefit from higher octane, a breakthrough in Texaco technology, an advanced system of engine cleaning. For higher performance, lower emissions, and improved mileage. New Clean System 3 Power Plus and Power Premium from Texaco. Give us 60 days and watch what can happen.
Okay, race fans, the Brickyard 400 is coming August 6th, and there are 2 ways you can win. Number 1, become a NASCAR driver. Dedicate your life to speed, build a race car, get a fire suit, hire a pit crew, and master the sport in less than a month. Or number 2, play the Budweiser Pace Car Sweepstakes. Grab a Brickyard 400 handbook wherever you buy Budweiser. Kick back, watch the race, and you could win one of 4 Chevrolet Monte Carlo pace cars. So it's up to you. A life of torque and compression ratios, or a nice afternoon of racing with the king of beers.
What tire do you trust in the wet? A tire that removes over 2 gallons of water per second from under the tread. The all-season MX-4. Another engineering splash from Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
This fall, the adventure begins.
Watch out!
McKenna, coming soon to ABC.
Kingdome in Seattle. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver as the Yankees lead the Seattle Mariners 3-1 on the premiere of Baseball Night in America. We mentioned at the very beginning, it's a concept in which almost every game is being televised and going to the areas of most interest. This game, for instance, going to the New York region and upstate New York and New Jersey, that area, and the Pacific Northwest as well, and a chance to keep you abreast to a degree that it's been impossible in years past, as the pitch is outside to Bernie Williams. If something's happening in one of the other games, well, John Saunders is right there to bring it to you post haste. Williams fouls it off, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, John must be crushed the way the Blue Jays are playing this year.
So is Cito Gaston.
Yes, he is.
Let's go Blue Jays, huh? They still do that ditty in Toronto. I haven't been there in years.
Yeah.
Let's go Blue Jays. Let's play ball. Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball.
You got it, baby.
Half swing, and that's a strike.
Well, I don't care how they play. I mean, even though I do games for the Orioles, I don't mean that in that manner, but it is a wonderful city. You spent time up there during the World Series last year. Yeah.
1-2 pitch from Johnson is hit off Johnson's glove or leg to Rodriguez, and he has no play as Randy goes down and appears to be okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing that comes to mind, first of all, this is not the franchise, because that's Ken Griffey Jr., but this is the pitching franchise right here, and Lou saying that ball went to the shortstop in the air.
Yeah, he's saying it never hit the ground,
which it really might be the case.
Well, we're going to find out in a second when we take a look at the replay. And now, once Piniella knows Johnson's okay,
exactly.
Now he's got this axe to grind.
Yeah, that's the point. Once he saw Johnson get up, let's go argue for an out.
Yeah, well, Johnson wouldn't have gone down like he did had this ball hit the ground first. Did it hit the right shoe? Looked like it did. It looked like it did. Now the ball's still in the air. Rodriguez comes up with it. As Johnson goes down, here's a better look.
Yep. Well, this gives you an indication of how close the pitcher is. If you're 6'10", you got long arms. That ball looked like it hit the top of the top, maybe the tongue of his right foot.
That's an out. If that ball had hit the ground first, Johnson doesn't go down like that. It appeared that it hit the top of the right foot and stayed in the air. And the guy with the only view, you got to think, is Derwood Merrill, because he's the only guy who can tell that it hit his foot.
Piniella's going to lose the argument, and so the Yankees have a base hit on what should have been an out and a triple off either a speaker or a guy wire.
Yeah, he walks over to third base coach Willie Randolph. The Yankees says, hey, you were a former teammate. I mean, come on, tell the truth. Give us the out. We're struggling. It doesn't work that way up here, does it?
Williams gets credit for a base hit, so he leads off the 5th inning with a single. He led off the 1st with a walk and then a steal, and scored on a Don Mattingly double. Williams at first, no one out, 5th inning. The Yankees got 1 in the 1st and then 2 in the 2nd on home runs by Mike Stanley and Gerald Williams. The Mariners got their run in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Felix Fermin singling in Keith Mitchell. 3-1 in the 5th. Yankees last year with only 39 steals, lowest in the majors. And Bernie last year was their only semi-threat, and this year they went out and they picked up Luis Polonia. But still, they're near the bottom of the league in stolen bases as a team.
Well, Buck Showalter will tell you, says it's all right to be aggressive as a base runner, but let's not get careless. Let's not throw away outs. Polonia last year, along with Chad Curtis of the Angels, both thrown out 24 times. Polonia stole 55.
It's grounded sharply to third, knocked down by Martinez. He goes to Fermin, 1, and a double play. That's a nice play. Felix Fermin had started only 4 games in his career at second base prior to the call-up of Rodriguez. So here's a guy playing out of position, and he turns it very nicely.
And that's the toughest thing to learn when you go from the left side of the infield to the right, is the pivot at second base. That was a brilliant pivot by Fermin, who had Bernie Williams all over him. He uses the bag for protection and gets his man. Fine play by Felix Fermin.
Yeah, you do not have the luxury like a shortstop of seeing the runner coming into you.
Right.
I mean, you got to be concentrating on that throw at third. You get an indication. I mean, you got to understand how hard that ball was hit. First of all, I mean, they're coming out to administer first aid to Edward Martinez, but basically Rick Griffin, the head trainer, or actually that looks like the assistant trainer for the Mariners, Tom Newberg coming out. But you know, I mean, when I first saw baseball on AstroTurf, I remember a game up in Philadelphia. Don Money, who was a pretty good hitter and a good third baseman. Ron Santo hits the ball down there so hard that Money couldn't get out of the way. Had to leave the game because of the bruise. But you get an idea how hard that ball was hit, mainly because not only does he not catch it cleanly, he knocks it down and they still turn the double play.
Yeah, guys are going down like flies in this game. Mike Stanley of the Yankees, a foul tip. Randy Johnson, a ball off his foot, and now Mike Blowers. He did recover in time, but once again, fine pivot by Fermin.
I honestly think they should let third basemen on AstroTurf wear catcher's equipment.
I should say Edgar Martinez, not Mike Blowers. Mike is the first baseman tonight, even though he has played some third base this year.
Mattingly 2 for 2 with a double and a single. Takes inside for ball 2. 2-0 the count. Don Mattingly closing in on 2,000 career hits. Hits one down the right field line, and he's one closer. That's a base hit, and Don will take a wide turn and then hold as Buhner with a good arm gets it back in. So Mattingly, the only left-handed batter in the lineup tonight to face Randy Johnson with a double and 2 singles.
Well, see, I look at that as good hitting. You know, Mattingly, he's a smart hitter. He hit the breaking ball the first time, hit a fastball away for the second hit. Johnson goes 2-0 on him. He looks for a fastball, and he gets it, and he gets a base hit.
All-time hit leaders, including that one. That's how fast we can bring it to you graphically. Mattingly at the bottom with 1995 right now. Gehrig 27-21. Ruth, Mahle. That's pretty good company. DiMaggio and Berra. 1-0 the count on Jim Leyritz.
And in a year that Don Mattingly has a chance to be in his first postseason, the Rangers win the Stanley Cup early. The New York Knickerbockers go to the finals against the Rockets. And for the first 2 months, when the Yankees were their hottest, everybody in New York was paying more attention to the Knicks and the Rangers.
Sure. Yeah, now that they play well on the West Coast, Mike Keenan, he quits, or he says there's a breach of contract.
Yeah,
right. He's gone. They've been upstaged all year long, so far.
Well, Mattingly and the Yankees may have been upstaged, but now that Phil Simms has retired, Mattingly has been a New York athlete in the 4 professional major sports longer than any other athlete. In other words, no Met, no Ranger, no Knick, no Giant, no Jet has been with their club longer than Mattingly has been with the Yankees now.
He is a marvelous player. He's overcome back problems. Probably the finest player in the game, 85, 86. That's what his peers thought.
And Leyritz waves at a breaking ball and doesn't get it. 7 strikeouts for Johnson after 4.5. Still 3-1 Yankees.
Once in a while, a breakthrough comes along, like a flat latex wall paint that holds up against stains. New Everclean, only from Sherwin-Williams. We'll take tough stains like grease, red wine, tea, grape juice, coffee, mustard, and let them set overnight. Everclean is the flat latex wall paint with a finish so smooth stains don't stick. Stains don't stand a chance with new Everclean. Sherwin-Williams.
Hard to tell. Could be any pickup. But how many compact pickups hold this much? Have a bed with 2-tier loading and a tailgate this easy to deal with. You could say it's the most intelligent pickup of its kind, except there doesn't appear to be another pickup of its kind. The Chevy S-Series, so new from the inside out. Everything else is history.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You know he's not perfect, but on certain days in his life, he has been. The night he poured in 63 points. The time he crushed 3 home runs in the World Series. The day he found Dwight Clark in the end zone. And you wish at some point, at some moment in your life, you could be that perfect too. And that's why you cheer for him. That's why you believe in heroes.
An elite group of golf's best tee off in the final round of their sports premier international event. From Turnberry in Scotland, it's the British Open tomorrow here on ABC.
In Seattle after 4.5, it's 3-1 Yankees. Here's an update now with John Saunders.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. We'll continue to watch your game between the Yankees and the Mariners, but here's your update. Carlos Baerga, 8 for 11 in this series against the White Sox right now. This is a home run. He had 4 hits last night, and Cleveland looking to take sole possession of first place. 2-0 they lead in the 5th inning. Baltimore leading California as we look at the Blue Jays and the Rangers. Rangers up 3-1 right now. Pudge Rodriguez has a home run in that game. Elsewhere, the Baltimore Orioles leading the Angels 2-0. Play is in the 5th inning. Palmeiro and Sabo have home runs in that contest now in the 5th. In the National League, the Mets and the Padres. Hundley has a 2-run single. 3-0 is the lead in the 5th inning there. The story of the night, or at least the last 2 nights, Barry Bonds. This is 2nd home run of the game off Hill. He had 2 last night. He has been on fire since the end of the All-Star break. As San Francisco continues to roll since they picked up Darryl Strawberry. 3-1 is the lead over the Expos in the 6th. And a look at the home run leaders now. Matt Williams of San Francisco with 33. Barry Bonds now with 27, 1 behind Jeff Bagwell. Back to Al, Jim, and Tim.
All right, thank you, John. The Yankees leading here 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Felix Fermin led off for Seattle and grounded out to Dave Silvestri, and now Edgar Martinez is the batter. Martinez to be followed by Ken Griffey. Jimmy Key facing the top of the order. Taking all the way, Edgar looks at a strike.
Barry Bonds with 2 more home runs tonight. The Giants have not lost a game since signing or since bringing Darryl Strawberry up. He had nothing to do with the first 4 wins, but the last 2 he certainly has contributed. Grand slammer on Thursday night and a solo shot last night.
Well, you look at the physical and emotional makeup of that ball club now. I mean, he replaces, maybe not defensively, a guy like Will Clark, another left-hander hitter in the lineup, and he won't maybe not hit for the average, but he's certainly, if he's healthy, going to hit some home runs and driving runs.
He's certainly as big a threat as Clark if he's healthy.
Right.
Griffey waiting on deck. Martinez at the plate with 1 out and the base is empty. And Jimmy Key's next pitch is popped up. Back of second. That's Kelly making the catch. Everybody wondering about Griffey and can he do it? Can he hit 62? Well, over a 162 game spell, if you go back to June 20th of last year, he did it. Babe Ruth over this is any 162 game span. In other words, you can begin at any point in one season and carry it over. Ruth hit 71 in a 162 game span, and then he had 66 and 64 at other times in his career. And then there's Griffey, who from June 20th of last year, 162 games later, which encompasses the 19th of June this year, he hit 62. And there's Tim's partner Ralph Kiner, who did it in 49 and 50.
Well, of course, when you do it like that, you don't have the fanfare that goes along with it. That's what would make it very difficult.
Sure. I mean, in those days, no cable. You have 10 times as much television and radio coverage. You didn't have USA Today, and a lot of the other suburban papers didn't play that big of a part in those years. So the media crush now will be unprecedented. But I have to think a kid like, and I say kid because he's still young, he has the right attitude.
Yes, he does.
I don't think he's old enough to really totally understand what it is that he would do. The 1-2 pitch is outside. I think if you're a little bit older and you've been around a little bit longer, then maybe you begin to say, hey, this is really something.
Yeah.
He knows it's something, but I'm not sure he really understands just what it is. And that's good. I think that's gonna work in his favor if it happens or gets down to being close to happening.
Okay, he's still, I think the great thing about him, he's been able to maintain the level of this game, but basically it's fun. You know, it's not work.
He blocks it out naturally instead of having to block it out.
3-2 to Griffey, waved at and missed. And that's 7 strikeouts for Key. We'll go to the 6th. Yankees 3, Mariners 1.
Ohio, Texas, parts from 237 suppliers in 31 states. They all come together right here in Georgetown, Kentucky, in the Toyota Camry. Built by Americans at a plant recently given the J.D. Power & Associates Gold Plant Quality Award for the 2nd consecutive year. With this kind of craftsmanship, all the pieces fit together beautifully. The 1994 Toyota Camry.
In honor of Sandlot players everywhere, Country Time and JCPenney would like to make an offer of major league significance. Now, in every canister of Country Time, you'll find a $5 certificate good toward baseball apparel for kids and adults at JCPenney. $5 off hats, t-shirts, and jerseys. So hurry in with your certificate. Because, like summer, this offer won't last forever.
Debbie, these shots are fabulous. Beautiful, Debbie.
Better than the last time, Tony?
Absolutely. It's my job to make sure people look good. A few weeks ago, while doing test shots with Debbie, I noticed something. Dandruff. So I told her about Head & Shoulders. You see, regular shampoos merely rinse flakes away, so they could come back. But look, Head & Shoulders helps stop flakes from even forming. See the difference? Yeah, picture perfect. Head & Shoulders turns dandruff problems into beautiful hair.
St. Petersburg, Russia welcomes the world's finest athletes to one of the biggest international events of the year, the Goodwill Games. Coverage begins next Saturday here on ABC.
A couple of months ago, Ken Griffey was frustrated. You may have read that he was thinking about going someplace else conceivably, but I asked him before the game tonight to elaborate and if he was happy in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I moved here. I have a family here. You know, I like it here, and the fans have you know, opened their arms to me, and you know, the town. And there's no other place that I'd rather be but here. But we got to win. You know, everything. I mean, you know, everything dictates on winning. I want to be on a winner. My dad has 3 World Series rings. I have none. You know, and I want to have one.
And he said Nirvana would be, hey, being in Seattle and having the Mariners win the pennant. He said that would make me very happy. So he wants to remain here. It was simply a case of the frustration beginning to set in his 5th year in the major leagues and not really being involved in a pennant race.
Is he the best player in the game today?
No. Best player in the American League, in my opinion.
How about the game?
No.
Tartable hits one toward Griffey. He'll make the catch easily, 1 away.
The player in the game, and again, in my opinion, you see him all the time in the National League, is Barry Bonds. And you talked about the 2 home runs he hit. This guy can beat you anyway with except speed. And then Frank Thomas, great hitter, but he's not he's a better first baseman than he was, but he can't beat you with his leg. Barry Bonds can do that. And it's not that Griffey's slow, because he can steal bases, but he does not do it with a regularity.
Stanley fouls it back, and the count is 0-1.
You almost have to put a disclaimer on that, mainly because if I was going to start a franchise right now, I would want Griffey because he's only 24.
Oh, and 1 the count. One out. Base is empty, and the next pitch is a strike, and the count is 0-2.
Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent from the Office of the Commissioner. Bud Selig.
They don't have a commissioner.
Does some lawyer get a retainer every time that's read, or what?
Yeah, it's a. What happens when they play your song? You get a royalty fee.
Yeah,
it's the same.
1-2 pitch is in the dirt, and the count 2-2.
What do they read in football?
Same nonsense.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel about that, Al?
I will after the game.
Well, getting back to that Bonds and Griffey discussion, and certainly it's a hot topic in baseball. I thought Bonds was the best player in the game until this year, but I think that the season that Griffey is having, I think that ekes him just slightly ahead of Bonds as far as his value to a ball club. It is very, very difficult. He plays defensively. He plays a more important position than Bonds does, even though Bonds is as good a defensive player.
And on cue, Griffey lopes over, and that's another putout. 2 down in the 6th inning. Kelly is the batter. Here's a reminder. Many of the world's best athletes gather in St. Petersburg, Russia. The former London grad. ABC Sports begins coverage of Goodwill Games 94 next Saturday. At the times reflected at the bottom of the screen there. And also, Wide World of Sports features more action from the Goodwill Games next Saturday.
And how about that British Open? You watch any of that today? That'll be on ABC tomorrow. Can't wait. A couple Americans on top of the leaderboard,
including Fuzzy Zeller.
Yeah,
right there.
9 under. I think Brad Faxon tied with him.
Tom Watson, the leader after 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think he's 7 under. He's about 2 shots back. Nick Price, a lot of people consider the best golfer in the world. He's only a stroke back.
Pat Kelly lifts it foul, and the count 0 balls and 2 strikes. Johnson consistent.
Yeah, the irony about tonight's game is that Jimmy Key, a control pitcher, has walked many more people than Randy. Randy's walked 1 guy, first leadoff hitter, and he scored. Where Key already with 3 walks, both with 7 strikeouts.
But Key had all of that trouble early. He walked 3 of the first 6 and hasn't walked a man since. As Johnson misses away to Kelly.
You know, sometimes that radar gun is overused. All you have to do against a guy like Randy Johnson is look and see how many right-handed batters are fouling balls off the other way, and that tells you that the pitcher's still maintaining his fastball.
Backs him off. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count.
I think the only time that the radar gun is probably important is if a guy loses stuff late in the game and he can't make good pitches, and that is not the case with Johnson.
Got him. Ran it in on him. 8 strikeouts in 6 innings for Randy Johnson after 5.5. Yankees 3, Mariners 1.
Budweiser welcomes you to the Voodoo Lounge. The Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge Tour, live. Only one band is rock and roll, and only one beer can bring it to you. Budweiser, king of beers.
Besides being an educator, Jim Elkins is a collector of antiques and an occasional Montana trout. Having owned a dozen Toyota cars, Jim naturally made the T100 his first Toyota truck. Your typical big truck owner? No. But then the T100 is not your typical truck. Observe the Detroit Free Press. The cabin reminds one of the Toyota Camry in equipment and comfort. The Toyota T100 puts you in a whole new class.
3-2 pitch to Griffey.
My, oh
my! It's a tater. It's a dinger. It's out of here. It'll fly away. It's back. Going, gone. On a 400-foot ride. Into the next county. Raise the window, Aunt Minnie. Here it comes. Kiss that one goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Sayonara, baby. Goodbye, Mr. Rawlings. That ball ain't coming back. And Griffey will touch them all. Holy cow!
Tonight on Eyewitness News, 3 cases of Legionnaire's disease on a recent cruise are raising concerns at Manhattan's Pier 88. The story after the game.
Yankees are running the first and 2 in the second. Seattle got its run in the second inning. Key and Johnson locked up tonight 3-1. And Baseball Night in America is being brought to you by Toyota, who invites you to check out their full line of quality trucks. You just gotta love them. Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for a crisp, clean, classic taste. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, it'll be Buhner, Blowers, and Mitchell, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for Seattle against Jimmy Key. Key has retired 10 of the last 11, so he has settled down after walking 3 of the first 6 he faced and giving up a couple of singles in the second that produced a Seattle run. Pitch outside of Buhner, 1-0.
Well, pitching coach with the Pittsburgh Pirate, Ray Miller, used to be my pitching coach in Baltimore, and he said work fast. Key does that. He said change speeds. He's used all 4 pitches, and he said throw strikes, and he's done that since those early 3 walks.
Hit down a third. Silvestri gathers it in over to Mattingly, and Buhner is gone.
And he could add, when you throw strikes, make the hitters reach, and that's what Buhner did. Johnny Sain used to say that pitching is the art of fooling the hitter.
Changing speed, getting them out in front when they look for the breaking ball, throwing the fastball, and there. Billy Connors, boy, he's been everywhere, and everybody that I've ever talked to said this guy knows how to help pitchers. And there's Sammy Ellis. He's also done a great job with the White Sox. Also a good pitcher himself.
1-0 the count on Mike Blowers. Jimmy Key in 5 1/3, giving up 3 hits. Those 3 walks coming early and 7 strikeouts, and none of the last 9 Mariners has hit the ball out of the infield. 2-0. Yankees trying to stay on top in the East. Baltimore a half game back in the beginning of play tonight. That's a strike. Well, there's no question Merrill has been very consistent. He's made that call all night. 4 inches off. That's good enough.
Well, just checked out his right and left hand. That's the size of his strike zone. But he's been consistent. He's a pitcher's umpire, no doubt about it. Everybody knows it in the American League.
That time just a little outside.
I mean, you scout. You scout. If you're an advanced scout, Ronnie Hansen's former shortstop scouts for the Yankees, tells them, you know, what guys hit, what pitchers throw, what umpires call, if they're high ball umpire or low ball umpire, whether they give you the ball off the corner.
Foul back in the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Following the 1992 season, those fellows were free agents. Key, Greg Maddux, who went from Chicago to Atlanta, Cone, Moore, Drabek going from Pittsburgh to Houston, Swindell and Guzman. Bosio came here, and Smiley. And those are the records over the past 2 seasons. So clearly Maddux and Key have been 1 and 2, and Jimmy Key with even a better record than Maddux.
Yeah. Of course, there's
Bosio just went on the disabled list. Take a look at that first page again. Key as a Yankee, 31 and 8.
And Billy Connors, I mean, Greg Maddux, and most people, and you see him all the time again, Timmy, and consider him the best right-hander, and maybe in baseball, but definitely the National League. And he said the guy that really helped me probably the most of all my pitching coach is Billy Connors early in my career.
I think there's another reason to Jimmy Key's success also, and that's because he is signing as a free agent with a new team. And if you still have the ability
that gives you that little extra incentive to do well with your new team. He had his best year last year, 18-6, and is 13-2 this year.
Little chopper fielded by Key. He goes to Kelly, and the out is recorded. And as he started to transfer, the ball popped loose, but it's an out at second base. And the second out of the inning.
Oh, good fielder. Important thing right here, he takes a little crow hop, gets the lead runner. You want to make sure with a 2-run lead that you get that lead out. Pat Kelly thinking about possibly the double play, tries to make the quick throw and loses the handle.
Now Tino Martinez. Keith Mitchell at first base. And Tino takes outside, ball 1. 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors for the Yanks. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the Mariners. The Yankees have won the first 2 games of the series, in each coming from behind. That's a strike. And the count is 1-1. Ahead on a man he has already struck out twice tonight. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Tino Martinez.
There it is, even though he has walked 4 very much around the plate, but he has made some big outs, just like tennis. How do you play the big points? You get the guys out when you need to.
Oh, I thought you meant Gene.
Gene, the most valuable player in the 1972 series against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
First World Championship of 3 consecutive Oakland Athletics World titles.
Got him started with 2 homers in game 1. 2-2 the count.
You were doing that World Series, weren't you?
Yes, sir. Announcing for the Reds at that point.
I remember going up the expressway in Baltimore and going, what is Vince Scully doing with Cincinnati Oakland World Series?
Is that what you were thinking?
Yes, I was. Well, that's how good you were.
The 2-2 is foul back.
Try to clean that up.
Now I'm just trying to be as good a golfer as Vince.
That's right. Well, you're on a hot streak, aren't you?
You betcha.
91.
Two balls, 2 strikes the count. And that's softly hit on 2 hops to Velarde. Over to Mattingly, and that's that in the 6th. Still 3-1 New York. We'll go to the 7th. Back with Baseball Night in America. Yanks and Mariners after this from our ABC stations.
Country legends Charlie Daniels and Charlie Pride, plus Mark Chestnut and Martina McBride. Billy Dean hosts ABC in Concert Country later tonight.
Margaret, it's me. So give me a call when you get in, okay? Pick up. Shahoon, pick up. Margaret, I'm getting tired of this. Where are you? Just call me. Call me. Call me. Call me. I gotta hear your voice.
The Suzuki Sidekick 4-wheel drive convertible or 4-door sport utility. Once you drive it, you probably won't be around much either.
Where the heck are you, Margaret?
If there's one thing that separates us, that makes us different from all other living things, it's the desire for a chance, for one shining opportunity to see how high, how far we can go. Well, the people of United Airlines just got one of those chances. Today, the 54,000 men and women who built this airline Now own this airline. Come fly our friendly skies.
This is the elegantly appointed front-wheel drive Acura Legend. And to connoisseurs of classic automotive art, this is the dinner bell that says, let the feast begin. The Acura Legend Luxury Lease, available for a limited time at your Acura dealer.
Ross Abrams in Rome, the Pope, his mission, his people, Tuesday at 5 and 11.
Yankees on top 3-1 as we go to the 7th inning. All of the scoring early, and here is tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust Baseball Quiz. Who's the only pitcher to win a Cy Young and MVP award in the same season without being selected to his league's All-Star team? And we'll give you the answer in the bottom of the 7th inning. Won the Cy Young and MVP in the same year, but did not make the All-Star team.
What's the prize if you come up with this answer?
The prize is
a round of golf with Al Michaels?
No.
Depends on how you got the answer.
A weekend with Jim and Joni Palmer in Florida. First class round trip air transportation. You get picked up in Palmer's Toyota.
Well, Fernando Valenzuela, his rookie year in '81, won the MVP, Cy Young Award, and the All-Star pitcher that year.
Yeah, Clemens, of course, won a Cy Young Award and Most Valuable Player. Ron Guidry.
Overall, 9 pitchers have won the Cy Young and MVP award in the same season.
But who would have been silly enough to leave them off an All-Star team? That's our dilemma tonight.
Well, it tells you one thing. It tells you the guy had a much better second half than first half.
Why is that?
Among others. Well, because
I won 3 Cy Young Awards, and 2 times I didn't make the All-Star team, and I had great records.
But you were never an MVP.
No,
Yeah.
but that's
So that eliminates-
no. But Al was trying to make a point. He was trying to make a point. You had to have a better second half than a first half, and that's not necessarily true.
But it's I said it's possible.
Oh, it's possible. Yes, but of course.
Would you take Jim home right now? 2-2 the count. This was supposed to be our big homecoming tonight. What is this?
We can't always agree.
Well, that's part of the beauty of this. But from now on, that's hit in the air down the left field line and into the corner, and it is gone. A home run for Gerald Williams, his second of the night. So here's a guy who's only playing because Buck Showalter wanted to get as many right-handed bats in the lineup. They put him in left field because you don't want to start Polonia against Randy Johnson, and all he does is hit 2 home runs.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people think that this may be their best defensive outfielder, maybe their best outfielder that can steal bases, even though Polonia did steal 55 last year. And when he gets the chance to play, especially against left-handers, he is a very tough out. Doesn't walk much, but great strength and a great attitude for a guy that doesn't get to play as much as he'd like to.
Gerald Williams with mind-boggling minor league numbers. So what do you do if he's a great defensive player? Do you make a trade, give him the center field job next year?
Now they like Bernie Williams because he can switch hit. I think the school's out on Gerald mainly because they know he can hit lefties. Can he hit right-handed pitching?
Well, the only way to find that out is to put him in the ring of fire. Let him try.
Blowers runs out of room there. You think the deal with Gerald Williams, though, is you would figure by now, he's been around for a while, that if he was going to be a regular player, it would have happened. He's going to be 28 years old next month.
Well, it could be a trade of Gerald Williams that gives him a chance to play more.
Johnson's pitch to Silvestri, missing low in the count. 1 ball and 1 strike. Giants continuing to lead the Expos 3-2 in the 7th. That's a strike in the count. 1-2. 4-1 Yankees. 3 home runs tonight. 2 for Gerald Williams and 1 by Mike Stanley. Johnson takes care of Silvestri, and that's 9 strikeouts for Randy Johnson in 6 1/3 innings. Baseball night in America Monday, 48 hours from now. Those of you in the New York area will see the Mets against the Dodgers. Many of you in the Pacific Northwest will see the Mariners here against the Baltimore Orioles. Again, regional coverage coast to coast Monday, baseball night in America. Bernie Williams takes low and inside, ball 1. 40,109 is the attendance tonight, but it's pretty quiet. It's quiet in the Kingdom.
Always tell whether the home team is ahead or not in the domes in baseball. Not a lot to cheer about tonight.
And through the years with the Mariners, not a lot to cheer about. But I'll tell you one thing. I've been here for a number of Monday Night Football games, and this place, I think, is as noisy as any place I've ever been.
As noisy as the Metrodome in Minnesota?
Well, pretty close. Right there. I mean, it reaches the point. I mean, your eardrums are breaking in either joint, so it's hard to tell. It's like, you know, was that fastball 99 or 101? 2-1 to count. But Mariner fans, you know, when you look at their records through the years, and they began play in 1977, they've only had winning seasons twice, and they have never finished in the first division, ever. And with the realignment this year, playing in a 4-team division, they'll have to finish first or second in the West to break that spell.
A lot of teams, a lot of people, these baseball experts, thought that they were a possible favorite, mainly because of their starting pitching. And other than Randy Johnson, all of them have struggled or have gotten hurt.
That's line to right center field, and Buhner has to play that one off the fence. Bernie Williams on his way to second, and he's in there with a double. So he has a walk, a single, and a double with 1 out in the 7th inning. Velarde coming up, but first, let's get an update.
And we'll check in on New York's other team, the Mets, facing the Padres tonight. Fernando Vina at the plate and laces this one the other way. Kind of fights it off down the left field line. Rico Brogna comes in to score. The Mets right now with a 4-2 lead over the Padres in the 8th. Al, Jim, and Tim.
Okay, John. Yankees leading here 4-1 in the top of the 7th inning with 1 out. Bernie Williams is at second. And Randy Velarde at the plate. In the bullpen, action for the first time tonight. That's Milt Hill throwing back of Johnson.
Well, you know, you talked earlier about Ken Griffey Jr. saying that you know, losing was killing him up here. He also said that maybe we don't have enough heart to win. Also, we're a small market team, but I'll tell you what, if you're a starting pitcher and you're trailing 4-1, things aren't going well. This is when you have to be courageous, show some heart, because the only chance the Mariners have, if Randy Johnson hangs in there, and maybe they do what the Yankees did on Thursday night, which is trail 8-6 into the 9th and come up with 7 runs. So he thought that was going to be a fastball. Couldn't pick up that slider spin.
Knocked down by Martinez. He has no play. At least he's able to keep Williams at second base. Velarde will get an infield single. And that's 10 hits now off Johnson in 6 1/3 innings, and Mattingly, who has 3 of them, comes up.
What an infielder does when he goes to his right is he tries to catch the ball in the web. Almost all balls that aren't caught, when you see an infielder going to his right, the ball hits the heel of the glove.
Now Mattingly, who's 3 for 3. No hitter has ever had 4 hits in a game against Randy Johnson, and those men have had 3. Mattingly twice, and Ken Herbeck in August of 1990. So Don tonight, a double in the first, a drive and a run, and an infield single in the 3rd, and a base hit to right in the 5th. 1-1 to count.
I mean, just think about it. This is his 19th start. And until Mattingly's been up 3 times, there's only been 42 at bats all year by left-handers against Randy Johnson. They don't want to play.
And that's off Wilson's glove, and the runners will advance 90 feet. Bernie Williams goes to third, and Velarde goes to second.
Well, in Johnson's case, what makes him tough to hit also makes him tough to catch. Tailing fastball inside. Now Wilson, of course, knows what's coming. Miffed it himself. Ball running in on Mattingly and away from Wilson. And it's a pass ball on Dan Wilson.
But when you set up low and away like he did, and that riding fastball goes up and in, boy, good movement, velocity, it is tough even to get a leather on it.
Now the Mariners are compelled to play the infield in because they're already down 4-1. And the Yankees with runners at second and third. So Mattingly with a chance to really break it open here. And it's outside for ball 3. So 3-1 with Leyritz on deck.
Now, you don't want to walk Mattingly, but what you do, if you don't want to give in to him. So if you do walk him, you do set up the double play, maybe get out of this inning on 1 pitch. But it's not going to be an on-purpose walk. At least I wouldn't imagine that would be the case.
And it's just outside for ball 4. That's the first walk given up by Randy Johnson since the first batter of the game. And Sammy Ellis goes to the mound with Leyritz coming up, and the bases loaded and 1 out, and Hill in the bullpen.
I was talking to Sammy. I mean, you're always going to get a high pitch count with a guy like Randy Johnson. Strikes out a lot of batters, a lot of foul balls, a lot of deep counts. And he said 140 pitches is about the max, and he's right at 123. Now, they'd like to see him leading, but I'm sure this message is, first of all, how do you feel? He's been bothered by a little bit of a tender elbow, coming back with only 3 days rest, and also keep us in the game. Try to get the double play, or maybe a strikeout or a pop-up.
Randy Johnson's one of the few pitchers that would still be in the game in a situation like this. Most managers with other pitchers would be going to a guy like Milt Hill to pitch to the right-hander, or force Buck Showalter to make a move.
Well, they brought in Milt Hill on Thursday night with a 7-2 lead. He threw a 3-run home run to Velarde, and it got to be 7-5 in a hurry. So Lou, I mean, he knows this is a better pitcher than anybody he's got in the bullpen.
Jim Leyritz, who has delivered in these situations this year, 4 for 8 with the bases loaded, looks at a strike and the count on 1.
I like Leyritz. I'll tell you, this is probably the only high-profile Yankee. Goes to the Rangers games, go to the Knicks game, wears cowboy hats. You know, maybe he talks more than he should, or at least Buck Showalter would like him to do, but he does perform.
About the only criticism the Yankees have received in the New York area through the media this year has been that they have been dry. That it's a vanilla team. It's a team that Buck Showalter keeps a lid on. Guys speak out, and he says, hey, enough of that. And so there's not a whole lot to criticize when you're in first place, but that seems to be a recurring theme now. The team is bland. 2-1.
Boy, if you look at some of the players, I mean, Reardon was a reliever. He complained not getting enough innings. He's gone.
Bases loaded with Williams at third, Velarde at second, and Mattingly at first. And the 2-1 to Leyritz is on the inside corner. And Leyritz has to be thinking to himself, look, if you're going to give him it 4 inches outside, you can't make that a strike as well.
Yeah, the first pitch was 4 inches outside, and the second pitch could have had the front corner, but it looked inside.
2 balls, 2 strikes the count. It's hit foul outside third, skipping by Bernie Williams. Stays 2-2 with Tartable on deck.
Lou muttering him to himself, hey, how about a grounder at somebody? Let's turn a double play.
Crowd wants to see strikeout number 10. Instead, it's ball 3 outside, and nearly a wild pitch. Full count. Yankees 4, Mariners 1. Bases loaded for New York in the 7th with 1 out, and 3-2 on Leyritz. Ball 4 to force in a run. That's the 15th time that Johnson has walked in a run in his career. So Leyritz picks up his 45th RBI, and Ellis will go to the mound, and that's going to do it for Randy Johnson. He goes 6 1/3. He yields at least 5 runs, and it could be 8 before it's over and done with, because the bases are loaded. Milt Hill comes in, and we'll be back at the Kingdome after this.
When I played basketball, I always wanted the ball. And I got it where it should go. And I always drank Gatorade, because nothing's better. Now I'm playing baseball. I still drink Gatorade. I still want the ball. I still know where it should go. And sooner or later, I'm gonna get it there. I hope. It's gotta be Gatorade.
Wanna taste, you can't turn back. Trying to Pringles double stack. Double stack, vacuum pack. You got it like that. Take the space out of Big Bangs. Don't look so big. That's a drag. And they got pieces of those greases. Pringles got the whole chips, you bet. 2 full stacks is what you get. Get the Pringles double stack of chips. Double, 100 resist. Yeah! Once you pop, you can't stop.
When you come to TGI Fridays, it's gonna be great. Why? Well, watch while we point out the extraordinary things Fridays does to guarantee a great meal. This, you see, is our passion, because at TGI Fridays, we're driven, compulsively preoccupied with the notion that we have to do whatever it takes, every day, every time. So that at TGI Fridays, it's gonna be great. Guaranteed.
Coming this fall, there's a new family moving in after Full House. Meet Steve, a single father raising 3 boys.
You gotta stop spying on William. He's your brother. You may need a kidney someday.
When'd you give me a kidney, Daddy?
So you can leave it up on that school bus like that coat I bought you.
Me and the Boys, another one of America's favorite families, coming this fall on ABC.
Yankees lead at 5-1 in the top of the 7th inning with 1 away. Randy Johnson, it was not his night. Rough start, gave up 3 runs in an inning in the 3rd, then started to settle, and here in the 7th comes unraveled. Gives up the leadoff homer to Gerald Williams, and then another run, and leaves with the bases loaded. And Milt Hill, a Georgian, born in Atlanta, lives in Cumming, Georgia, comes in to pitch. Hill came up with the Reds in 1991 and spent part of the year with them last year, and then over to Seattle. Danny Tartabull 0 for 3 tonight. Mariner infield at double play depth. Yankees up 5-1 with 1 out in the 7th inning. In there, and the count is 0-1.
Hey, Milt Hill, I saw that on Thursday night. He's got all the pitches: slider, curveball, fastball. He's got a forkball. That's what Velarde hit for the 3-run home run. He's got the repertoire to get Tartabull out if he makes good pitches. Backs him off, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike.
What makes this an interesting confrontation is that you need the ground ball for the double play, but Tartabull's a good low ball hitter. So if you keep the ball down, you're going into his power.
One to Tartabull, swung on and missed, and the count is 1-2.
Yeah, there's that forkball, and it is a very effective when, as you said, Timmy, you try to keep it down. But again, you want to throw enough strikes to be able to pitch out of the strike zone, and he's in that position. 1 ball and 2 strikes. But Tartabull, very, very dangerous. Home run power anywhere. You can pull it, you can shoot it to center. Great power to right.
2-2.
And that really distinguishes the good pitchers from the bad ones. You get ahead, ball 1, 2. Do you make a good pitch when you have the advantage? The last thing you want to do is run this count full where you have to throw a strike.
Hill with a 2-2 to Tardival, and that's in the dirt, so it's 3-2. Did exactly what he didn't want to do.
You talked about Tardival striking out a lot. I talked to him. I said, have you ever thought about cutting down on your swing? He said, no, that's not what I get paid for. He said, I'll tell you what, I strike out about once for every game I play. And really, last year played 138 games, struck out 156 times, and that's about right. This year a little bit more than that.
Crowd is amusing itself with the wave, the reason for the response. And the 3-2 pitch is up and in, ball 4. They walk in another run. So that run is charged to Randy Johnson. Tardival picks up his 53rd run batted in.
Now, we talked about the Yankees offense. They're not leading the American League in home runs, but they are leading in on-base percentage and base on balls. So again, they make you a pitcher throw the ball over. You throw it out of the strike zone, they say thank you very much.
Almost 1 through 9 through Buck Showalter's lineup. They will make you run deep into the count. A lot of 2-2 counts, 3-2 counts. It's been evidence this inning.
Here's Mike Stanley with the Yankees leading 6-1. He lifts one in the air and into the corner, and Buhner watches it go foul and out of play.
Rick Downs, their hitting instructor, I mean, he preaches there's as many hits the other way as there are if you pull the ball. It kind of goes back to what Charlie Lau used to think about. The guy that I used to play with became one of the, before he passed away, one of the best hitting coaches. He said, the longer you wait, that means that you can adjust to the breaking ball, and if you trust your hands, you can still hit that fastball. And that's not idle talk. Every day at the cage, he makes those hitters practice what he preaches. And he's been very successful.
That's a strike, and the count quickly 0-2.
Is that forkball we're talking about? Throw it comes out between your index finger and your middle finger and just tumbles. The hitter will either miss it or hit the top half of it.
Inside. Stanley has hit 6 Grand Slam home runs in his career, and he's 2 for 4 this year with the bases loaded. Pat Kelly waiting next. 1-2 with 1 out, and the bases loaded, and he gets him. So Hill strikes Stanley out for the elusive second out of the inning. After the last 5 Yankees had reached in succession, and Pat Kelly comes to the plate.
We talked about the forkball. Here's another one. You can see it with a slow-mo camera just tumbling. Like I said, if you do hit it, you may hit the top half of the ball. A good one really goes down and tough to pick up the spin.
Kelly takes outside, ball 1, 1-0.
Young Tim Davis.
Tim Davis throwing in the Mariner bullpen. Yankees have hit around in the 7th. Kelly the 9th man to bat. Breaking pitch just off the plate. 2 balls and no strikes.
And I'm sure that Tim Davis is up and throwing just in case, even though if Kelly gets on, Gerald Williams, he's hit 2 home runs, but maybe they might pinch hit for him. So the lefty up just in case they bring a left-handed hitter.
That would be the ideal time, though, in a 7-1 game to see if Williams can hit right-handers.
Time called. No pitch.
You would think so, but now the modern manager, I mean, they feel like, well, we have to take advantage sometimes of those percentage moves. But Buck Showalter talking and basically saying, when can a left-handed pitcher get out, out right-handed and vice versa? When can a right-handed hitter hit a right-handed pitching? He said sometimes they got to take responsibility, you know, and then maybe let us relax from getting away from percentages.
That's ripped fair down into the left field corner. Mattingly will score. Leyritz will score. Tartabull will be held at third. It's a double for Kelly. The Yankees have scored 5 in the inning and break it open. It's 8-1.
Great situational hitting. Kelly got ahead 2-0. He got the pitch he wanted, and he didn't foul it back.
Kelly with his 27th and 28th runs batted in. And Williams comes to the plate. He's hit 2 home runs tonight and takes a strike. Gerald Williams, who came into the game with 2 homers all season in 60 at-bats, and has homered twice tonight. And he squibs that one foul off the end of the bat, and the count 0-2.
Well, in your opening, Timmy, you talked about maneuverability, flexibility, talking about how this Yankee team, a good ball club. They've been in first base 68 straight days, and it looks like it's going to be 69 as they appear they're going to win again tonight. But part of it is players like Silvestri, we just saw, or Gerald Williams, or the fact that Gallego will get off the disabled list and be able to play second or short. Velarde can play all 3 infield positions. They have a deep, deep bench, and they have some experience.
Hit down to third, and Edgar Martinez will throw him out. But the Yankees send 10 men to the plate, score 5, break it open. New York 8, Seattle 1.
There's something that can change the way a car performs over time. It's a true breakthrough in Texaco technology in every octane grade. An advanced system of engine cleaning for higher performance, lower emissions, and improved mileage. New Clean System 3 gasoline from Texaco. Give us 60 days and watch what can happen.
Introducing one of the most visually distinct automobiles you've ever seen, and the most technologically advanced Celica Toyota has ever created. The all-new Toyota Celica, with sophisticated safety systems, available ABS, standard driver and passenger side airbags. But despite all this technology, when people see the new Celica, there's only one thing that keeps coming to mind. Watch out, it's here.
In honor of Sandlot players everywhere, Country Time and JCPenney would like to make an offer of major league significance. Now, in every canister of Country Time, you'll find a $5 certificate good toward baseball apparel for kids and adults at JCPenney. $5 off hats, t-shirts, and jerseys. So hurry in with your certificate. Because, like summer, this offer won't last forever.
This is the game the world has been waiting for. Italy meets Brazil for soccer's ultimate prize. It's the World Cup Final live Sunday on ABC.
Well, boys, it's great to be back in the baseball business. Good to be with you guys as the Yankees lead at 8-1. Not that we were away long, but I was really shocked that Bobby Mercer wasn't in the starting lineup tonight for the Yankees.
Bobby Mercer, of course, an outfielder for the San Francisco Giants, and that's the last time we were together at Candlestick in '89.
Sure.
October 17, 504, that horrible earthquake that none of us will ever forget.
Well, you were rocking and rolling that night.
It certainly was, and you were on camera ready to do your opening.
Well, we began the inning with the Diamond Dust Quiz. Who's the only pitcher to win a Cy Young and MVP award in the same season and was not selected to his league's all-star team? You have to go all the way back to 1956 for the answer. It was Don Newcomb of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Nuke was 27-7, and in those years, it was even a bigger honor to win the Cy Young because it was a combined award, so he was the best pitcher in the National and American League. And he was 11-5 at the All-Star break and had pitched on Sunday 2 days before, and then was 16-2 down the stretch.
It's a pretty good season.
Not bad.
And a half. I'll tell you, that's Walt Olson, I imagine, was the manager, right?
Yep, he was.
I think it's a pretty wise decision leaving him at home. Pitches on Sunday, rest for the second half. That's why Walt won all those games.
Swing and a miss here for Wilson, leading off in the bottom of the 7th inning. He'll be followed by Rodriguez and Fermin.
Matter of fact, Don Newcomb won the first 2 Cy Young Awards. First one given in 1956.
And he's still working for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yes. Yep, in community relations. In fact, I ran into Nuke 6 or 7 months ago.
Nice
doing very well. Very nice fella.
Well, also a heck of a hitter. That was a good pitch. Those were the days.
Yes.
Well, still the days of the National League.
Yeah, they used to use Newcomb as they did Don Drysdale later on as a pinch hitter. Very frequently. Alex Rodriguez takes a strike. And the count is 1-1.
Yeah, Rodriguez driving in the only Mariner run. That was on a fastball. And the next 2 times, everything's soft. And that's what Jimmy Key can do. He can, I mean, he really switched gears out there. And this is pretty much it's not typical in the fact that he struck out 8 Mariners, but the one thing he almost always does, and that's why he's a #1 starter, is, especially with this ball club, is that he keeps his team in the game, gives them a chance to play defense behind them and score some runs.
Rarely a big inning on Jimmy Key.
That's a strike to Rodriguez, and the count 2-2.
Yeah, you get a bunch of runs in any one inning, you got to scoop. Just because he doesn't help you. He helped them early, they didn't take advantage of it.
Key in quest of his 14th win, and he'll try to go 8-0 on the road as well. And he'd be 14-2, and he'd have 1 more than Lucina.
It appears that Mike Mussina, who's pitching down in Anaheim, has a 1-run lead. The Orioles with a 3-2 lead over the California Angels. 2 starters in that game, Mussina and Chuck Finley.
And Rodriguez takes a pitch that missed somewhere. I have no idea where. Ball 4.
Second baseman,
Take a look. Narrow's got an expansive strike zone. You got to figure that's a strike.
He might have been surprised that it was that good a pitch.
Yeah. That's the problem. It wasn't 4 inches outside.
I think Alex was ready to go back to the dugout.
I do too. You've heard of hitters being frozen. That time an umpire was frozen.
Well, I had Durwood behind the plate when I went for my 200th win, and he gave me the power. No, he gave me the power salute, like come and get him in the 8th inning. I throw about the 3rd pitch of that inning. He throws my catcher out. Threw Dempsey right out of the game. Thought he was on my side. Gave me, I mean, a big fist. Let's go get him. I think he wanted to just catch his plane. It was a Sunday afternoon. But he does have a good personality. I mean, one of the umpires in the American League that has been around a long time and enjoys his job. And it is a tough one.
Fermin runs up to lay one down and lets it go by low. 2-1 the count.
I mean, just think of a home plate umpire. I mean, he's got to call about 300 to maybe 300 or maybe 400 pitches a night. And if he misses one and it's the wrong time, everybody's on him.
And they never umpire in front of a home crowd.
That's it, foul. Well, he missed one there to Rodriguez, but it's at the right time. That's why it was not even the mildest protest really from the Yankees. But you make that call in a 3-2 game or a 2-2 game. Everybody jumps up.
Umpires human. They're just like ball players, and a lot of times you lose your concentration a little bit.
And like announcers.
Just cruising along. They'll probably let him throw about 120 pitches. 7-run lead. Yankees leading 8-1.
1 out in the 7th inning. Rodriguez at first base, and 2-2 the count on Fermin, who fouls it back. The Mariners have not hit a ball out of the infield since Jay Buhner fly to left with 1 out in the 3rd. That's how tough Key has been. Yankee bullpen thus far, a night off.
Sterling Hitchcock will be called up, we understand, on Monday. Terry Mulholland, who started the season in the starting rotation, has been demoted to the bullpen by Buck Showalter. Jim and I were talking about it before the game. It's interesting how,
as it's grounded down to short, and Velarde had looked to Kelly and then does it himself, and that costs him a double play. A little miscommunication at second base there. Had it flowed more smoothly, they would have had Fermin at first base, but Velarde took a look and kept it himself and only gets the force.
not really a double play ball, but Randy making sure of one. But that little moment of indecision, you're right, he probably would have turned it. But Jim and I were, we were talking about before the game about how it's very strange when a pitcher in the starting rotation is having problems. They tell him, go to the bullpen and get yourself straightened out. Well, the bullpen, you can't get yourself straightened out because you're not pitching.
Sure. You saw Mulholland.
And plus, I mean, you're going to be asked to assume a different role. And Terry is a control pitcher. Now he's going to pitch irregularly, so that'll probably affect his control even more. I think it really comes down. They don't want to see him. They want out of your sight. Go down the left field line. Go down the right field line. I mean, it happened to me.
When?
In 1982, and I ended up being 15-5 that year, but for about a 3-week period. One Earl Weaver was the general manager, didn't want me to start anymore.
Who was that?
Hank Peters. You know, he felt that it was time that we go up with the younger guys, and you know, then they had a meeting and they said, listen, we need to get a starting pitcher. And they said, well, we got him. This guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's down in the bullpen. And they said, well, we need a long reliever. And they said, Earl said, well, he's starting. So we just reversed roles, and we went on, and we ended up losing to the Milwaukee Brewers on the last day of the season.
Surprising thing about that is it wasn't Earl Weaver's idea.
To center field, and Bernie Williams drifts on it, makes the catch to retire the side. To the 8th, with the Yankees leading the Mariners 8-1.
European luxury car owners are good sports about the high cost of owning their cars. To them, it's just water over the dam. The Lexus LS, however, is projected to cost an average of $14,000 less over 5 years than most European competitors in its class. Compared to them, the cost of owning an LS is just a drop in the bucket.
3-2 pitch to Griffey.
Ooh. My, oh my!
It's a tater.
It's a dinger. It's out of here.
It'll fly away. It's back. Going, gone. On a 400-foot ride.
Into the next county.
Raise the window, Aunt Minnie.
Here it comes.
Kiss that one goodbye.
So long.
Farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Good night.
Sayonara, baby. Goodbye, Mr. Rawlings.
That ball ain't coming back.
And Griffey will touch them all. Holy cow!
When you come to TGI Fridays, it's gonna be great. Why? Well, watch while we point out the extraordinary things Fridays does to guarantee a great meal. This, you see, is our passion, because at TGI Fridays, we're driven, compulsively preoccupied with the notion that we have to do whatever it takes, every day, every time, so that at TGI Fridays, it's gonna be great, guaranteed.
From Gillette comes a uniquely different form of protection for men. Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant. Unlike a stick that can stay in your underarm hair, this is a soft gel. It goes cleanly through the hair right down to the skin surface to fight odor and wetness where it begins. And that means powerful all-day protection. The revolutionary Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
Some things are worth dying for.
People down here feel some things are worth killing for.
Gene Hackman, Willem Dafoe, Mississippi Burning. Sunday on ABC. Parental discretion advised.
Kingdome in Seattle. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Jimmy Key is done for the night. He worked 7 innings, and Buck Showalter says, thank you very much, sir. That's victory number 14, or it should be. You leave with a 7-run lead, 8-1. And they'll go to the pen to get the final 6 outs. Meanwhile, in the 8th inning, Silvestri is the batter and looks at a strike from Hill. In the bullpen for the Yankees, the lefty is Paul Gibson, who will come on in the bottom of the 8th. Silvestri 0 for 3 tonight. Milt Hill in relief of Randy Johnson. 0-2. Bernie Williams on deck, and then Randy Velarde. It's the best of all worlds for the Yankees if they win. They will have beaten Johnson. They will have given Boggs and Polonia and O'Neill nights off, and would have won 3 of 3 from Seattle.
And for Buck Showalter, I think especially from a starting pitcher standpoint, last 11 starts, the Yankees have struggled. Their ERA for their starters, 7 runs a game, 6.99. So Key, what does he do? As the staff ace, he comes out, he beats a guy that you know that you got to pitch a good game against. And he did it. 3 hits through 7 innings, gave his offense a chance to score a bunch of runs. And they could do that. I'm going to tell you, 13 on Thursday, 10 last night, 8 here.
And the 2-2 pitch is lifted to deep right field, and Buhner goes back and leaps and misjudges it. Doesn't know where it is, and by the time he finds it, Silvestri is on his way to third and beats the relay.
Reminiscent of when Jay Buhner crashed into the fence at Yankee Stadium on July 1st, a ball hit by Randy Velarde. It was a game-saving play. He bruised his pelvis in the process, and he slams into the wall once again. And then he couldn't find the ball, and he allows Silvestri to get a triple.
Hit the top of the padding. And thus the erratic hop, and by the time he could find it, Silvestri turn would have been a double into 3. Williams takes a strike.
I think what these 3 wins for the Yankees does, it gives them the confidence that they had earlier in the year. Their last 10-game homestand at Yankee Stadium, they were 3-7. Played very poorly before the All-Star break, and this was one team that needed the All-Star break to get them going again, and they had.
Popped up and playable for Martinez. 1 away. Before Randy Velarde comes up, we're going to take a look at the MCI proof positive instant replay, and it features that man, Gerald Williams, who gets the start tonight because Randy Johnson was the starting pitcher. And in the second inning, this made it 2-0 as Williams hit one right down the line, and with a little body English, it lands in the foul pole screen. And that's the first of his 2 home runs on the night. Randy Velarde at the plate. Kept talking about what it means to the Yankees, not only winning 3 straight following the break, but especially the way they won Thursday night's game. You come in off the break, you're down 7-1, and you win the game. They erased the 6-run deficit and won it 13-8, and then last night with 2 in the 9th and then 2 more in the 11th.
No, but when you know, we talked earlier about the divisional matchups and probably better pitching in the Central. Jeff Nelson up and throwing, just recalled from AAA ball club. But if you do not score a lot of runs against these Western teams, you're not taking advantage of poor pitching. Seattle doesn't have a particularly good starting staff. Neither does Oakland. That's their key to winning and staying in the race. Neither does Texas. So you got to make hay when you can against the Western Division of the American League.
Rudy might give you an award if you say make hay again.
I didn't say make hay like while the sun shines. It's only a partial cliche.
Yeah, right. The entire language has become a cliche.
Come on, dude. I think cool man, cool,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm just glad we're back because the rumor was that Beavis and Butthead were going to form the #1 team on the baseball network at one point. Maybe they have.
I've never seen that, but there's that little laugh.
1-2 pitch to Velarde is hit in the air to right field, and Buhner will try to track this one down, and it bounces off the wall. Silvestri scores, and that's another extra base hit for the Yankees. A double for Velarde, and it makes it 9-1.
That ball looked like Jay gave up on it a little too quickly. It hit in the middle of the warning track, and it looked like Jay thought it was going to hit up against the wall, and he looks a bit miffed at himself. Watch him pull up right there. He looks toward the wall, but the ball hits in the middle of the track.
That's 13 hits for the Yankees, 9 extra base hits. Sammy Ellis going to the mound. And Jeff Nelson will be coming in to pitch for the Seattle Mariners. The just recalled Jeff Nelson. Orioles leading the Yankees in the bottom of the 8th. Rafael Palmeiro has homered. Rangers on top in the West, and in the top of the 9th inning leading the Blue Jays 4-2. Detroit leading at Kansas City. Travis Fryman with a grand slam. And in the bottom of the 9th inning at Comiskey Park, the Indians leading Chicago, trying to make it 2 out of 3 in that series. Minnesota defeating Milwaukee 5-2. Jim DeShays wins it. Rick Aguilera gets his 20th save. Red Sox and A's in a game that will start in roughly 10 minutes. Yankees leading it 9-1.
Well, we talked about tall pitchers that you do games. Eric Hillman 6'10" with the Mets, and Jeff Nelson at 6'8" out of Baltimore. And I'll tell you what, he's done a pretty good job. I talked to him today, and because I had a chance to see him work out. But the one thing he talks, he says, you know, we're not pitching very well, and it's a great mystery with my numbers, and his numbers are good, why I haven't been here all year.
Great opportunity for him.
Well, he's got a, I mean, you would think they're looking for somebody to get somebody out. You give up 13 on Thursday, 10 last night, and 9 already tonight.
Nelson loosening up, and we can tell you that tomorrow night on ABC, that's the lineup. America's Funniest Home Videos, Funniest People, The Adventures of Superman, and Mississippi Burning. That's our primetime lineup tomorrow evening. Don Mattingly makes his way to the plate. He's had a perfect night, facing Randy Johnson with 2 singles, a double, and a walk. Velarde at second base, 1 out in the 8th inning. Mattingly began the game at 303, and a 3-for-3 night lifts you 8 points. It also puts you in need of a seamstress.
Well, Mattingly reminds me, you talked about Keith Hernandez early in the ball game. When Keith Hernandez played for the Mets, great fielding first baseman, a pitching coach right over at first base, so if a pitcher ever had a problem. I mean, every at bat was like a World War or Civil War skirmish. I mean, he didn't like to make outs, and that's the way Mattingly plays this game.
To left field, and Keith Mitchell comes over toward the line to haul it in, so they get Mattingly for the first time in the game. 2 down. Mets beating the Padres 5-4 at Shea. Phillies over the Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th inning. 9-6, and with the Giants leading at Montreal, Giants trying to shave another game off the lead. Houston winning. Cubs won at Riverfront. Braves 6-5 in the 8th. Colorado leading in the 8th, and the Giants behind 2 more Barry Bonds home runs, leading 4-2 over Montreal. Luis Polonia with the night off. And that one gets by Wilson. And Velarde moves up 90 feet.
It was Thursday night at Riverfront Stadium when Kevin Mitchell came in the second inning. We understand he was fined by Davey Johnson and Jim Bowden, the general manager. One would think that when you have 3 days to get there on time, you would be there on time unless there were an emergency or a problem.
Well, there was a problem.
He was late.
His flight, well, yeah, that was one. And of course, the reason was he had some flight problems. But,
yeah, but
you know,
you
the
can't
bottom
have
line,
flight problems when you have 3 days to get there.
I agree.
mean, what kind of, I mean, you could be in China.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, Timmy. I mean, there's no excuse not to be there on time. And
None.
I don't believe I ever missed one. Did you?
Not I.
Maybe he had visa. Maybe he had visa problems. You know, coming across the Ohio, sometimes you got to go by a checkpoint. Buhner, Jay had trouble with that one, but is able to corral it, and that's that in the eighth. The Yankees add another and lead 9-1 in the middle of the eighth inning.
How long will it take you to save up the necessary down payment to lease a Lexus LS? That should do it. Introducing the LS Custom Tailored Lease. 0 down and $5.99 per month for 36 months. 0 in on an LS at your Lexus dealer today.
Ooh-wee, that's a hot one. That's a 1 can.
That's definitely a 1 can.
This one's a killer.
Oh, man, that's hot. That's a 2 canner.
That's a definite 2 can.
My, that's a hot dish. That's a 2-liter bottle.
That's a full 2-liter bottle.
Look like somebody ordered the special.
A simple verse for a simple sale this week at Goodyear on these selected Goodyear tires for cars and light trucks. Buy 3 at regular price, 4th one's free. Isn't that swell? Swell?
A reminder from MetLife. It's a good idea to have your eyes examined every 2 years. For more facts, call for your free MetLife Vision Care booklet.
Tonight on Eyewitness News, 2 New Jersey teens shoot themselves in a suicide pact, and investigators say the death of a rock star may be behind it. The story after the game.
In a piece in the New York Times Sunday magazine last week, Buck Showalter was talking about Ken Griffey. Not to disparage him as a player, but he didn't like the fact that he wore his cap backwards and had his shirt tail tucked out. And of course, that's been a recurring theme on radio and TV in this area and in New York and in the papers over the past several days. Last night, Griffey hit 2 home runs against the Yankees, and I asked Junior if it gave him any extra special satisfaction in light of the circumstances.
No, my special satisfaction, my teammates and my fans, you know, came to the ballpark with their hats backwards, and that's the only thing I can say. I mean, it was exciting, and it was a little bit different, but I'm happy.
So here is Junior in the bottom of the 8th inning. He has walked, popped out, and struck out, and he faces Paul Gibson.
Well, that's why they brought the lefty in. There are the numbers for Paul Gibson, and I don't care what the score is, 9-1. Obviously, you want to get the guys out, but this does reflect on your record.
Griffey, Buhner, and Flowers. 9-1 Yankees in the bottom of the 8th inning as Griffey lifts one to center field, and Bernie Williams comes charging in to make the catch. He got a good jump on it. He was playing him over toward right center. Took off at the crack of the bat, hauls it in. 1 gone.
My take on that cap flap, the comment is almost a throwaway comment by Buck. He didn't apologize to Junior. He thought it would be hypocritical to apologize, but it was a comment to me made by a very conservative guy about a contemporary ball player. It's no different than players growing their hair long back in the late 60s and early 70s, and people accusing them of being anti-war demonstrators.
Buhner swings and misses. I talked to Buck about it before the game, and he said, look, I'm not disparaging him as a player. I have the utmost respect for him. He's a terrific player and apparently a good kid. He said he was just concerned about, the way things look, and maybe too much is made about style over substance and all that. But look, for instance, look at the National Football League. They've got spotters in press boxes making sure that, your socks are the appropriate length and all of the rest of it. And that's all Buck was really saying. He's saying, hey, you represent the game, look like a professional. That's all.
I mean, and if you are a Yankee, you have to wear your hat at all times. I never could have pitched. I never could have shagged in the outfield.
Into the corner, and that's off the wall. And so I guess turnabout is fair play. Buhner's been playing balls off the wall all night. Now he gets his chance.
Yeah, we've seen about a half a dozen go over his head.
He was held to a single, though, by Tartable.
First baseman, Mike.
I'll tell you, this is a tough park to pitch in because the ball carries so well. Buhner with great power to right field. He just simply hits it, and Tartable, most of the time a DH, makes a nice play.
Flowers at the plate. Just to finish up on that, Buck and Griffey theme, I think one of the things that Buck was thinking about as well was the stars of the game are so important to the game itself these days. I mean, the way Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan represented basketball, and clearly the way Wayne Gretzky represents and has represented hockey, has meant so much to those sports. And the guys at the very top in baseball have to affect a certain persona or style or whatever. And I think that's more than anything else what Showalter was talking about here. The Barry Bondses and the Ken Griffeys and the Frank Thomases are the guys in the forefront, and people are looking at them all the time.
A point to consider, I think, and not trying to further this discussion, but a point to consider is that baseball, one of the criticisms is that it's losing a lot of its young fans, and a lot of young people are wearing their caps backwards. That's a fashion statement now. And Junior is a young baseball player. So, why? My point is, I feel strongly both ways, is my point. And there are two young players right there. So maybe Junior is doing what's best for the game, even though Showalter, if it were left up to him as a young star, he wouldn't do it that way.
Right. But he'll be the first one to tell you. He said, I would love to see Ken Griffey Jr., and I'm just not tampering, in pinstripes, because he does admire his skills as a player. But I said in the opening, I mean, the one thing about Ken Griffey Jr., and I think it has a lot to do with the way his parents raised him. His dad, a fine outfielder for a bunch of teams, a real good hitter, but he's a nice kid. And for a 24, there he is, a senior.
Kenny and his wife did a terrific job in raising that young man. No question.
One thing about wearing your cap backwards, though, it should come with a caveat. In about 5 years, your hairline isn't going to look the same. Right? Keep that in mind. Right, James? Like you would know, but you know what I'm talking about. You're gonna wear your cap backwards. You better put your order in for Rogaine pretty quickly. That's out of play. The count 3-2.
Well, the Mariners would like to put on their rally caps. I don't know if they have any.
They'd like to turn this game around is what they'd like to do.
Yep. And that's all you can try to do. You're trailing by 8 runs. I mean, you just went to the bullpen. Key did his job. Outpitched Randy Johnson. Let's get into the bullpen. That's about the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. Baseball in Addis Ababa. Okay.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to be fashion statements.
Looks like Alexi Wallace on the left there. A couple of Twin Peaks rejects there. 3-2 the count on Mike Flowers in the 8th inning. 1 out. Yankees ahead 9-1. Backing up, reaches up, can't make the catch. That one caroms off the wall. Buhner is being waved in, and he'll score to make it 9-2. Flowers with the double.
Well, when you get a hot hitter and he gets a good pitch to hit, he's usually going to put it on the nose. Bernie Williams in Puerto Rico, a young 400 meter, and he almost 400 meters this one right into his glove. That ball is smoked and he can't quite get it.
Now Keith Mitchell at the plate. He looks at a strike. In the bullpen, Don Paul throwing for the Yankees.
I don't mean to diminish Jay Buhner's hit and Mike Blauer's hit, but it's easier to hit in a blowout because most of the pitches are predictable. If a pitcher falls behind, the one thing you don't want to do in an 8-run ball game is to walk a batter. So Jay Buhner got ahead of Paul Gibson. He singles to right. Mike Blowers was ahead. You still have to do it, don't get me wrong.
You know,
but
Lou
the
Piniella,
pitches are more predictable in a blowout.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Lou Piniella talking about if Griffey is going to try to hit 62 home runs and may be able to do it, he said it's imperative that we win. Because he said otherwise we see the best pitching. When the other team keeps winning, we see their best pitchers in most cases. We get behind, then we get to go to their bullpen. We maybe see some of their tertiary and secondary pitching.
Excuse me? Tertiary?
Just thought I'd throw
That's
that
something you didn't use in '89, I'll tell you that.
Not when that earthquake hit. Was looking for a tertiary place to go.
To deep left field. Gerald Williams goes all the way back and makes the catch in front of the fence. So Keith Mitchell just got under it. A little too much. Second out of the inning. Tino Martinez coming up.
I guess another thought, and got to come up with thoughts when it's 9-2, is that Buck Showalter, I mean, one of his strengths, they don't have a closer, but he does have a good bullpen. I mean, he can right and lefty. That Paul Gibson would have been facing those right-handers. In a tight ball game, he would have gone to his right-handers in the bullpen. He would have made Lou Piniella either pinch hit with some left-handers. So, you know, again, this is a good hitting opportunity, mainly because Gibson's in there to get some work. And, you know, he's got to face right-handers, and the right-handers hit left-handers very well for Seattle. Great numbers against lefties.
Steve Howe, it's a night off for him because he's the kind of guy you'd bring in very late in the game in a very close game, and at least the Mariners are attempting to make it a little closer as Martinez singles to right. That scores Mike Blowers and makes it 9-3. So 2 out. Martinez at first, and Dan Wilson coming up.
Steve Howe, the player rep for the Yankees. And anytime you see a player rep on television, actually the assistant player rep, every time you talk player rep, you think, as a matter of fact, guy on the mound, Paul Gibson, is the player representative for the Yankees.
That's grounded to Velarde, and he throws Wilson out, and the 8th inning is done as the Mariners pick up a couple. Into the 9th we go with the Yankees leading 9-3.
Every year, American business wastes millions of dollars on international calls by using the wrong long-distance company. Now you don't have to waste that money. Introducing MCI's Proof Positive Worldwide. Save up to 50% off typical international calls around the world. Call by September 30th and get 1 month of free long distance. Call MCI now and put your money back in your business.
In honor of Sandlot players everywhere, Country Time and JCPenney would like to make an offer of major league significance. Now, in every canister of Country Time, you'll find a $5 certificate good toward baseball apparel for kids and adults at JCPenney. $5 off hats, t-shirts, and jerseys. So hurry in with your certificate. Because, like summer, this offer won't last forever.
What's up, Chief? Yeah. The first time I came here, I was like, man, it's not really fair. And when you think about the problems that these kids have, your problems don't look all that big. Hope you're feeling better, sweetheart. It helps me be a better ball player. You got to get out to the game, man, when you're feeling better. I can go out and say, hey, this is for these kids. I'm out there playing not just for myself, but for them. Because, you know, if I was hitting 200 or stuff, they'd probably be like, who's this guy? You know, get him out of here.
Starting Saturday, September 10th. There's something new to do with your kids, thanks to the ABC Family Movie. Finally, movies on television your entire family can watch together. No problem. From your favorite family theatricals to incredible ABC World Television premieres.
Need I say more?
A great new way to spend Saturday night.
You are an animal.
The ABC Family Movie starting Saturday, September 10th.
Yankees on top 9-3, trying to make it 3 straight with a finale in this series coming up tomorrow afternoon. Brian Turang replaces Ken Griffey Jr. in center field. In a 6-run game, Lou Piniella puts Jr. on the bench, gives him the rest of the night off in effect, and Danny Tartabull will lead things off in the 9th inning for New York. Jeff Nelson on the mound. Third Mariner pitcher of the night. There's a curve that bends in for a strike, and the count is 0-1.
I'll tell you, he could be tough on righties. At 6'8", all arms, all legs. Looks like he's coming right up from third base.
It's grounded to first. And a nice play by Blowers. He almost overran it, went a little bit too far to his right, but was able to recover and make the play unassisted. Baseball Night in America is being brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. Diet Coke, this is refreshment. And the Met Life, get Met, it pays.
Touched on it last inning. We hope that Baseball Night in America will continue to be brought to you by those fine sponsors.
You mean all summer long?
That's exactly right.
You just hope that Baseball Night in America is around in another.
That's right.
5 weeks or so.
Well, you know, I talked to Paul Gibson. We saw him pitch last inning, and he is the player rep. And he said, you know, in a multi-billion-dollar industry, he said the tragedy is that there's plenty of revenue for everybody. I mean, you know how it's going to be split up and whatever. But the tragedy is that every time there's a strike, and there's been 8 in over 22 years, is that the fan does suffer. People that really support the game, both physically by paying the dollars and the emotional part of supporting the players that come out and play every day.
Family strikes out. You know, well, the fan suffers, but the one thing, remember the first one in '72, and everybody said, oh, that's it. Fans aren't going to come back. The hell with the players. We won't show up again, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, the fans have always come back, and the players have won every work stoppage and every strike, in effect.
Is it going to be different this time?
No, the fans will be back. I'm not sure. You know, who knows who's going to win it? You can't tell, but the fans will come back.
But the thing that worries me,
right.
The thing that worries me, when Timmy and I were playing back in the '70s, is that the fans could really relate to those players a little bit more because there wasn't such a, you know, an abundance of money being paid. And I look at the All-Star game, one of the great All-Star games, an exciting game the National League wins, and the next day, I mean, they're talking about the game, but they also, right over there, American League wins and bonuses for the thing. They had $850,000 worth of bonuses and whatever. Money is such I guess a preoccupation now that I think it's changed a little bit, so I hope it doesn't happen.
Jim, I think it's all relative. I think if you go back to 20 years ago or whenever, when you were approaching your prime, fans were talking about $100,000 players. Remember, it was like, oh my God, this guy's making $100 grand or 10 or 15. So they've always talked about players being overpaid. How can they make all this money? The only thing that's changed are the numbers, the actual numbers. The conversation is basically the same. I think we keep forgetting that these conversations have been held for the last 20 to 25 years.
I think the dangerous thing now, before the 1981 strike, when the players went out for 50 days, there was emotion, there was anger from columnists, there was anger from fans. Today, I sense, and I know on the talk shows you're going to have fans that call in and talk about the players and how can they go out on strike making $7 million a year. But today there is almost a sense of resignation on the part of the fans and the players and the broadcasters and the media surround, and I think that's a very dangerous precedent. I'm not saying that it would necessarily lead to apathy, but in my view, it is a resignation that it's a fait accompli, that the thing is going to happen and that there's nothing that anybody can do about it. And I think that's dangerous, because what that does, it stops negotiating. Now, you don't know what's going on behind the closed doors, but and you read the public comments that Richard Ravitch makes, Donald Fear, the player representative, Ravitch on the owner's side.
Let's ground in the third. Martinez backs up, throws him out, and that's that in the top of the ninth inning. So the Mariners come up in the bottom of the ninth inning. Yankees leading it 9-3, and let's find out what's happening around the rest of the majors with John Saunders.
All right, guys, we'll get back to you in just a moment, but as you mentioned, let's update some of the games that are still underway or just about ready to wrap up. We begin with the Orioles and the Angels. As you know, the Orioles just a half game behind the New York Yankees, and Rafael Palmeiro helping them keep pace as he gets this one back up the box of Chuck Finley. McLemore comes in to score, and the Orioles take a 3-2 lead. Chris Sabo had his 10th home run of the year in this game, and Palmeiro his 17th home run. So the Orioles up 3-2 now in the ninth. They will need the win. Detroit had an unbelievable inning, 8 runs in the fourth, as they lead the Royals now 13-7 in the ninth inning. Travis Fryman had a grand slam, his 16th home run of the year. Kirk Gibson a 2-run home run. Felix Jose a 2-run shot for the Royals. Boston and Oakland, this one just underway in the first inning. Aaron Seeley against Ron Darling. The A's just 2 runs in their first 2 games after the break. In the National League, the Marlins and the Braves, a seesaw affair. Jose Oliva, his 2nd home run of the game. He has 4 home runs, and he's 10 for 20 since replacing Terry Pendleton, who, of course, is on the disabled list. Atlanta, 7-5 right now. They lead the Marlins as they look to move up over the Montreal Expos. They started the day in a dead heat. Fred McGriff with a 3-run home run. He has 24 in the season. Oliva, as I mentioned, has a pair. Benito Santiago and Kurt Abbott with back-to-back home runs. San Francisco and Montreal, the Giants leading 4-2. Barry Bonds, the story in this game, 2 home runs for the 2nd consecutive day. He now has 60 runs batted in, as he also drove one in on a single chasing Ken Hill, who last lost on May the 30th. St. Louis getting beaten up by the Colorado Rockies 11-4. That gets you up to date right now. Let's take it back to Al, Jim, and Tim. Gentlemen.
All right, JS, thank you very much. As the Yankees lead 9-3 here, we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. And for the Mariners, Alex Rodriguez to lead things off. Don Cole is the new Yankee pitcher. Jimmy Key's game to win. He works 7, and unless the Yankees somehow squander a 6-run lead, Jimmy Key is going to be 14-2 and 32-8 in his year and a half with the New York Yankees. Rodriguez lets a fly ball to shallow left. That could hit a guy wire or a speaker. We've seen that happen already tonight. Gerald Williams pulls it in. Chevrolet player of the game tonight is the man who just made that catch, Gerald Williams, who hit 2 home runs. He came into the game with 2 for the season. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for the 1994 Major League Baseball season. Felix Fermin.
Oh, the amazing thing about tonight is that the Yankees, they rest 3 left-handed hitters, all hitting over 300. One of them in the 380s, one in the 330s. Bologna over 300 at 301. And they still score 9 runs.
And you beat Randy Johnson.
Yes.
Part of this is a carryover from last year. Last year, the Yankees had 6 300 hitters. It's the most 300 hitters on one team since the Boston Red Sox in 1950. They also led the league in hitting last year, the first time the Yankees have led the league in hitting since 1972. I beg your pardon, 1962.
Don Paul throws out Felix Fermin. 2 down in the 9th inning. Edgar Martinez is the batter. Tigers win. They beat the Royals 13-7. And the Yankees are 1 out away from wrapping this one up. In there, and the count is 0-1. Into left field for a base hit, so Martinez keeps it going. And with Griffey out of the game, it would be Kenny's spot, and Brian Terang took over for him, but Reggie Jefferson comes up and he'll pinch hit. Jack O'Hara is the executive producer of ABC Sports, and the coordinating producer of the Baseball Network is John Filippelli. Coordinating producer for ABC Sports is Kurt Gowdy Jr. and our man Kurt produced tonight's game. Great to be back with Kurt again. Bill Webb is our director. Woody Fryman producing the replays. Rick Jones, our TD. Brian Mogelson, the assistant to the producer. And Peter Hurd has made the trek out from Gotham to be our director of information, research, our UNIVAC, our father confessor. There's an uncontested would-be steal of second by Martinez, and a couple of years ago that would have been a stolen base, but the official score does not have to give him one in this particular circumstance.
He could and probably will rule indifference.
I would think so. Ground into second, and Pat Kelly throws to first, and that will do it. So the New York Yankees scored a run in the first and then 2 in the second off Randy Johnson. Jimmy Key holds the Mariners in check through 7. He wins his 14th. And the Yankees have defeated Seattle by a score of 9-3 to make it 3 straight thus far in this series, which concludes here tomorrow afternoon. A reminder, Baseball Night in America, the second such evening, coming your way Monday, live at 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Final score 9-3 Seattle. Al Michaels for Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver saying good night from the Kingdom.
Tomorrow morning, ABC Sports presents the final round of the British Open live. Later, the game the world has been waiting for. Italy meets Brazil in the final of the World Cup. Later tonight, stay tuned for In Concert Country over most of these ABC stations. This program has been produced by the Baseball Network in association with ABC Sports.
A promotional fee has been paid by Northwest Airlines, with 43,000 people proudly serving the world and you.
Some people just know how to fly.
Hey, Coach is moving to Mondays, and I don't know about you guys, but I am psyched. We're gonna be right there with Monday Night Football with Al, Frank, and Dan. These are men. And then there's that new Monday comedy, Blue Skies, from the makers of Coach.
Chopper, what's the deal now? Come on. I mean, if this is Hayden and this is Luther, do you think I could do this?
Well, I know you could do it to Luther.
Coach, Blue Skies and Monday Night Football, Mondays this fall on ABC.
At Lilco, new technology is producing cost savings for customers. This robotic arm, developed through Lilco's Research and Development Initiative, will help linemen maintain and restore service more efficiently. It can move wires and trim trees, allowing the linemen to work more quickly and safely.
Overall, every dollar Lilco invests in R&D saves our customers more than $3.
For more information on what Lilco is doing to control energy costs and what you can do to lower your bill, give us a call.
This is the elegantly appointed front-wheel drive Acura Legend. And to connoisseurs of classic automotive art, this is the dinner bell that says, let the feast begin. The Acura Legend Luxury Lease, available for a limited time at your Acura dealer.
This summer, don't go to a water park that's just a drop in the bucket. Come to America's largest seasonal water park,
Wild Water Kingdom at Dorney Park. Drench yourself in 2 river rides, 11 water slides, and a gigantic wave pool that holds over 1 million gallons of water. Don't let your wet down be a letdown. When summer heats up, dive in and chill out at Wild Water Kingdom.
Ride and slide side by side. Dorney Park.
Discount coupons on 2-liter Pepsi and Diet Pepsi.
Your Lucky Lotto drawing coming up on Eyewitness News here on Channel 7.